All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin. Big episode 69, quite nice, I should say. And yeah, today's episode we're gonna have our second ever appearance of a guest, and so we're looking forward to that. Hopefully that goes well. Uh, we'll leave it ambiguous until he joins, but yeah, we did want to touch on a couple of other kind of topics that have been floating around, mostly in the sports world. Today's stream or episode will be a little bit shorter. Keep it around 2 hours, which seems to be fine with most people, and makes sense. It's not like 2 hours is a short amount of time in any. Short for us potentially, yeah, but it's still 2 hours is a good amount of time to get some information out and talk about what we want to talk about. But yeah, without further ado, I'll send it down to you, Austin, and then we'll get into it. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are, 69, Illuminati time. Yeah, our second episode of the new calendar year. Yeah, it's exciting having another new guest on, and it should be very interesting. Obviously, he's someone he's been in the community for a while. He's at least I've known him at least since like 2022, if not before that, in the community with NASCAR and racing, a lot of NASCAR and racing knowledge and decodes and stuff. So definitely gonna be interesting to see what he has to say and think about things. And yeah, it's the big 111 date, of course. And yeah, we're already about a third, almost close to halfway through the first calendar month already. Crazy. Time right now is flying. It's been a fast week. Just kind of been a very tiring week. So I know we're both kind of beat from this week. There was just like a lot of exhaustion. We went pretty hard for 68. That was we had a pretty intense episode last week with a lot of information, a lot of things to talk about and discuss, and a lot of things to, like I said, we'll be reaching back on, even tonight and future episodes. So definitely, if you haven't seen 68, you're going to go back, and there's a lot of information in that one. And there's even more to talk about, a lot of stuff, and there's even more things to add, and it's all very interesting. And like I said, we're going to keep getting into it. But yeah, it's we're in an interesting time right now. These next couple weeks, just trying to see how these football playoffs kind of work their way out too, just seeing what the rituals going to be. Yeah, it's like I said, we talk about NASCAR, we talk about wrestling, like WrestleMania, when other wrestling things happen. You got football, but it's not every day. It's, especially living here, it's not all the time. You got your Seahawks, the Seattle, being top of the line. It's only the fourth time it's happened. So in the last 20 years, it's all happened. So it's kind of watching it pay tributes to history. I know you were talking about just our little discovery we just had with things we were talking about last week. Things with the Tar Heels and Carolina connections. Drake May and the Sean Alexander thing. So yeah, we're gonna have to watch and see how it all plays out. It would seem like Seattle's kind of almost maybe guaranteed for the Super Bowl, but the AFC there's a lot of things brewing right there, and there's so many things to look at with the Patriots. Of course, I remember last time the Seahawks in the Super Bowl was against the Patriots. And then you have the Broncos. Plus, they were with the Broncos the year before that, so that could be a potential matchup. You could have the Seahawks, maybe in the Bills. That's something else too to look at. The Seahawks, the Bills. It maybe, who knows? Maybe it could be the Seahawks Steelers again. We get the rematch of that again. So, or maybe it'll be a brand new team. Maybe it'll be a different team they haven't played yet. But it is interesting that all those teams are in the mix, and they have all played them in the Super Bowl in the past. So you do see how it just this keeps going back to the same old. And it's interesting too. Like I was saying too, I was watching that or paying attention to that Panthers game. If they would have won, because then we're talking about last couple of weeks, all the Washington, North Carolina connections, all stuff with North Carolina. And if they would have won that game, then they would go to Seattle, and then we'd be talking about the Seattle, North Carolina connections again, but they lost. So, but it might be another rematch. Maybe Seattle might be playing the Rams again when they had the Biffle tribute that game and the 16-point comeback. We just had the 16-point game, total points with the 49ers. Now we'll see what happens again. But otherwise it's going to be the Seahawks and the Bears, or the Seahawks and the Rams. Like I said, with the Super Bowl being in San Francisco, I don't really think it bodes well for the 49ers, because I don't really see a tribute there that they would be in it. Like, the year Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl and had his own home field advantage there for 2020. That was the best ritual of them all, over there with the beating KC, beating Mahomes. But it's shaping up pretty interesting. Quite a few teams already eliminated. So, these games are very interesting, the way they're rigging them out. Like I was saying, all these games they've all been close too. That's the thing. All these games in the playoffs so far have all been very close, yesterday and today, and we'll see about the one tomorrow. But they've all just been by a few points. It hasn't been very much, and a lot of back and forth. Really no total domination in these games. Of course, you had the Packers go up in the big 18-point comeback last night with the Bears. The Bears making their comeback again, and another postseason loss for the Packers and LaFleur, and Love. But just more rigging, and we'll have to see how, like I said, this game shapes up tomorrow, and see who's going to be the final 8 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to point out one other thing about the interesting narrative that was hanging out there on the line. If you guys don't remember, Seattle up until this point had one of their, low light records was that, they were the first team to make the Super Bowl with a losing record. And
for the playoffs in 2010.
Sorry. They didn't make the Super Bowl. They
They lost in the divisional round.
Okay. I think that was the Beastquake year, I believe.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't the Super Bowl, sorry. But making it out of the wild card round with a losing record, and Carolina had that opportunity this year with Seattle at the top of the NFC. So there was this weird dichotomy, not to mention all the Carolina, Seattle connections that we talked about, and Zach has mentioned a million of them too. So a lot to go off of there. So there was, not to mention the Huey P. Newton narratives they always do with the Carolina Panthers. There was another interesting narrative out there with them having a losing record in the playoffs as well. I will say this about the 49ers, interestingly enough. First of all, I'll point out that you got the 1 versus the 6 seed, like 16, which has been a highly used number, especially with Seattle. We've covered all these things, but with the
last week with 16 City.
Yeah.
We're in 16 City last week with Chad.
And the week before that with Greg Biffle tributes and all that good stuff. So not to mention all the flooding on the back of that as well. But they did have an early season, or was it even off season? I think it was before the season started that Nick Mangold, former Jets player, died, and we, you highlight, it's just interesting that, it's being held in the 49ers stadium, and 49ers are, known for gold. And sometimes in my head, I'm just like, just simplify it. Like, because now I'm getting like PTSD from NASCAR, where it was like almost guaranteed that, the death of Kyle Larson's manager or agent or whatever and everything like that, that was the ritual. That was what paved the way for him to win the cup. And yet you had all these other narratives out there that somehow feel like they were just like like taunting you or like, distracting you from the main thing that we had already been harping on. And of course, once our main narrative fell apart the week before the championship, we were just like, all right, Larson's got it. And so we were right at the end of it, but it just some part of me is just saying like potentially the sacrifice of an actual person, if they're actually dead or whatever, could be the main factor for who makes it to the Super Bowl. And you know what's funny? You mentioned that whole. Oh, by the way, before we just skim it over, because I know you mentioned, I just want to point this out because you skimmed over it. But yeah, we were looking at this just right before we started because I honestly hadn't heard of Drake May before. I didn't know who the quarterback for the Patriots was. So we just did a quick look at him and look at this because like keep in mind, Austin hops on here and he's telling me like, oh man, I was, thinking about that North Carolina Seattle connection. So I'm just like, yeah, that's interesting. So I'm like, bring up Drake May. Oh, where did he play for? Oh, he played for North Carolina. Oh, interesting. And he won the Sean Alexander Award. Arguably the greatest Seahawks running back. So, and not to mention, he was.
And he would have played with Zach Little then, right? If he his years there, he would have played, I think, with Zach Little, the dude we were talking about last week.
No, that'd be interesting. I wonder if we can look at a 2021 with the Tar Heels. We could probably just look up the 2021 roster. Yeah.
Find our Little.
I have to go depth chart though. No, that's the same thing. Did have Jaquarius Conley. Let's go. There's Mr. May. There's Drew Little.
There he is.
Oh, comes back.
It does.
Drew Little. Deep snapper, baby. He's so deep back there. How many deep snappers did he eat?
Gotta thank his dad, Chad Little.
Imagine being the backup deep snapper.
Yeah.
Get all the pussy as the backup deep snapper, I'm telling you. But yeah, no, good point. Great point. You're down there at 61 on the depth chart too, interestingly enough. North Stanley. Yep, good point. Good call. So that's another interesting connection that's just kind of out of the blue. Yeah, so keep that in mind. It's just, little weird tribute. Got the Sean Alexander Award winner. Potentially, if they get past the Chargers, looking to take on the Steelers. So that'd be kind of, reminiscent of the Steelers Seahawks Super Bowl with Sean Alexander. We're going to get the ball back and we're going to win. Gotta love the Richard Sherman face. Yeah, so far it's a tight game. I'm sure there won't be any blowouts. I could be wrong, but other thing I like to point out too is just keep in mind that Justin Herbert is the former Duck quarterback, and they had quite a smackdown of the Ducks against Indiana this last weekend. So that could play into this as well. But yeah, I guess we can just touch on the other few games. Let's go back to the bracket. It's all updated. So you have like we said, the Niners beating the Eagles. Obviously, if you guys don't know, the Niners, Christian McCaffrey scores twice. He wears number 23. What's so funny about it is the Niners, they should have 24, but they just shanked the field goal, and it was the most rushed, purposeful shank you've ever seen. If you guys have time, go and look at just the highlights. I don't know if you can find the highlights, and maybe you can, of the touchdown drive, the last touchdown drive to Christian McCaffrey. They just the kicker just purposely just shanks it. It was nowhere near the goalpost at all. It was like head height. It didn't even get like above people's heads. He just like kicked it into the dirt.
Eagles missed the extra point too in the game.
Interesting. Well, yeah, think about that. They got a 42 point, as Hurts goes down, as the black QB goes down, you got a final score of 42 total points.
Yep.
And in order to achieve that, you had to shank a extra point, and then, like you said, mixed one too. So yeah, more clear ritualism and showing that they control these things. Especially what I want to challenge people to think about too is, like, first of all, for over a decade now, they've mulled over getting rid of field goal kickers in football. And whatever, if they do that, it is interesting. It just from a logical standpoint that you have these, and I'm talking about offensive line, defensive line, every aspect of these, of the offensive and defensive unit, non-special teams, is like freak athletes, and they're doing so much on every single play. Like, they take all the cheating, all the rigging aside. Even the fattest offensive and defensive tackles are absolute units, and they could probably run like a pretty mean 40 as well, even at their size. So these guys are like freak athletes, and they're doing like crazy play, doing the most every single play. And then how many games are decided by, and here comes Jeff, the 48-year-old balding white guy who's like 5'8", who has a beer gut. He's coming on to decide the game. We win or lose off this guy's leg right now. It's just like, what the fuck? And then all the extra points too. It's just like, is it necessary? Who wants to sit there and say, yeah, we won this game by a field goal? It's just like, it's such a weird thing when you really think about it. It goes to show that people are more like enamored with the identity that they form with the team that doesn't exist. No one on any team that you root for cares about you or considers you part of the team as much as they say, we're doing it for the fans. Like, I should do a compilation of that. You know how they do like compilation of when they sync up the news and everybody's saying the same shit on the news? Go look at every exit or mid-game interview or exit interview. They all say the exact same thing. Every single one of them says the exact same thing. The fans really do, we're just doing it for the fans, even like down to the cookie cutter responses about like the defense was, really good out there. They even forced a couple turns, coach has it, we got to clean that up. And, back in the locker room, coach was talking. Just listen to how they talk and all the little points they say. It's all the same shit every single time. And like I was saying, like, people have these innate allegiances to the point where they're not even like vindicated by like winning in a cool or like, I guess just leave it a cool way. Like, they'll be, rubbing it in your face if they win by one off of a field goal. It's just like, bro, what? You brought out some like 40-year-old dude and he like hit a 30-yard field goal. It's like, what a boring way to win a game. What a stupid thing. It's like foosball's more exciting. You never like, there's no like, all right, stop the game and just let this guy get a free kick. It's just like annoying. But anyway, that's just my opinion on it. It's just weird. I'm not saying I have anything better. I mean, I guess the better thing would just be eliminate it and touchdowns count for 7 instead of 6. And the more you look at it too, knowing how they rig these outcomes by the numbers, you see why when teams are scoring 3 2-point conversions in a game, you're just like, all right, what the fuck? They needed that. They needed their score to be, 46 or what, 31 or 33, of course. They needed those rather than hitting field goals in order to complete the number ritual. And so it's not even really part of the game. It's not an exciting thing. It's just like a stupid bullshit thing. Either that or they have to go for two. That'd be one thing. That instead of field goals, you just have to go for two every single time. That way, at least it's a play rather than just like, let's everybody line up and just. It's so weird. Anyway, yeah, we got a field goal shootout as we speak with Patriots Chargers. So we'll keep you guys posted on that, I guess. But yeah, other than that, there was a couple things we want to talk about, and then we'll get our guest in here, hopefully. In fact, let me quickly send him the link now, just so at the very least he's in the back room. Before I forget.
They had 58 points in that Bears-Packers game, 58, like Freemasonry.
Yep. Oh, there's a lot of 58 stuff with Chicago, I think, too. Obama stuff, I think. I know 59 has to do with like Renegade, his name and everything, but
yeah, it's 65 in the Rams Panthers. Like Kurt Donald Cobain, 65.
It's pretty high scores. It was taking forever to load for some reason, but okay, I'm sending it now. So hopefully he is aware of his email and gets that, because that's the only correspondence I have with him. So I'm hoping that works out. But yeah, the other bit of news in the off season, this is just something that I figured we'd point out. It's not that big of a deal. We're going to get the announcement for it tomorrow. So I guess by next week we can have a little tidbit talking about exactly what the rule changes will be. There's been some things thrown around about what it'll be. They're changing the playoff format. But I want you guys to remember a few weeks ago when we brought this up the last time. And this was because they had come out and explicitly said, and when I say they, I mean the NASCAR Rules Committee, said that they are not explicitly, they will not be changing the format for next season, that it will be staying the same. And this is on the back of, we've talked about this, all season long. It's just been a shit talk fest from all the drivers about the playoff format. They all hating on it. And meanwhile, we've talked about how they've used certain pawns in this scheme in order to give you the onus and the reasoning for why they need to change the system, like a la SVG. He's a glaring focus because, he had no chance to win in the playoffs yet. He won 4 races or whatever and got in and pretty much, hogged the spot for a lot of people. And then you had, of course, the Tyler Reddick. They used him as kind of a potential, he didn't win in the postseason. But he got through to the second. We talked about all these things. The point I'm trying to make is that even though they said they weren't explicitly not going to change the rules, we were like, I don't know. They're probably going to. And boom, of course, even after they said they weren't going to, we called it. They absolutely are going to, and they're announcing it tomorrow. So I'm sure there's something to that 112 date that they're announcing it too. But because why I say that is because it's after 12 seasons. So on the 12th, they'll be announcing the new rule changes. But yeah, I know you had your finger to the pulse on some of the potential options. What do you think the new format will be?
Yeah, because they had this one since 2014 with the whole I know, and like I said, 2011, 2012, 2013, they changed the points. The points were a lot less in the races. And there wasn't like playoff rounds and stuff until like 2014 they started that. I heard one of the things they were going to do was possibly do a 3 race and then a 3 race and then have the last segment be 4 races long to determine the championship. That might be something that they decide to go with. uh Probably something too where I know the tracks are a bit different too. So if they go to something like that, it wouldn't just come down to like Homestead or whatever. You'd have 4 races to play out. Um, that'd be interesting as well. Uh, yeah, I mean it's kind of it's still crazy just like how much things just change. I mean from anything we talk about, NASCAR, wrestling, football, all these things, how they just change. I mean how different they used to be. Just all the things that got implemented. Things that weren't even a thing at all. I mean, and these stages too. Wondering if to the point where it's like they got to have these where they just throw like mandatory cautions. It's like I'd wonder if that's something they get rid of too. Having a stage, oh, the guy won the stage, but why is the caution got to come out? That's something to look at too. It's like, but I think they want to. Yeah, they want to make the championship definitely more. Not that it's, I mean, to me, the Winston Cup is, always the most fair. I mean, that's, whoever's the most consistent all year wins a championship. It's really easy. It's basic. It's simple. You might have a very competitive, last race, or it could be decided, 3-4 races before you even get to that point, who the champion's going to be. So, there's no guarantee it's going to be close. There's no guarantee it's going to be a dominant win. With this, it's just, but I mean, this, if they did something like that too, I mean, it could still backfire. I mean, you could have guys do bad like 3 races and then have like one guy do great all of them. And then like maybe he has so many points that he just wins the championship easily in the last race too. So, I mean, depending, I mean, like I said, you could never really get it, right in terms of, who you're really going to have as champion. Like I said, last year, it would have been Christopher Bell if it was still Winston Cup format. So, you take a look, he wasn't even in the final 4. So here you guy that should have won it. It didn't make the final 4. So what does that tell you? I mean,
there was a whole thing there with Briscoe and Bell too, and our independent journalism on their relationship that is yet to be fully fleshed out in the media's eyes. But I think we have a pretty good idea of not only they share their initials, they share their birthdays and all sorts of good stuff, but but yeah, also, Bell is the one that brought Briscoe in and all sorts of good stuff. But anyway, yeah, no, you make great points. And one thing you mentioned the tracks. I just want to say this because this is one of my points that I brought up last season is SVG. There's a reason for him. Like, by the way, I don't think his popularity is going to go down. I think he's going to be made into a popular character in NASCAR. I really do. And this is just kind of like his building. For some reason, I just see it. Like it's not. There's nothing like specific for me. It's just like I think they can use him like for some reason I see him in a suit in 10 years and he's like calling NASCAR. So I think they want him to have a prolific career, even though he's considered a specialist. And because he's considered a specialist, that was one of those cruxes that we talked about. By the way, we have a legal smile in the back and we'll get him in just a minute. I want to finish my point and then we'll get his take on this. But what I do think is that they are going to need to spice up NASCAR. And by doing so, they'll need to change up the format to where you don't just have oval drivers win it every year. That specialists have a chance, and that the oval drivers need to prove themselves on the road courses and the other courses. So I do think that they're going to add. And by the way, we talked about this too, but they've eliminated a lot of tracks from last season. Will not be tracks this next season, at least this next season, or maybe not even anymore. There's been several. I'd have to go find a list of them, but just every so often I'd be perusing the like NASCAR headlines and they would say this track is no longer on the ballot for next year. This track's no longer. So there's going to be a lot of new openings for tracks. I don't know what the maybe it's already out. Maybe it's something we could look at if they already have the tracks for 2026. But I'd be interested to see if potentially they broaden their tracks to include more, specialist tracks to kind of spice up uh, the entertainment value, but also to kind of start to, like we talked about last, obviously SVG just ran away with every road course, but what I think moving forward is that you're going to need the driver who's going to win it all. He needs to start taking wins on the road courses to show that they're overall driver, like a great driver. You know what I mean? And they can use SVG either that or the opposite. SVG starts doing crazy on ovals. But we've talked about both those scenarios, and so yeah, without further ado, let's get our guest in. This is a legal smile, everybody. Give it up in tomorrow's video on tomorrow's comment section. But yeah, he's been an OG especially in the NASCAR arena. Austin knows this a lot more than I do. I'm pretty new to this, but we've had really good correspondence, and he has a lot of notes. We're going to see what all we can cover from those things, but I do want to get his opinion on this. Hopefully he's been able to hear us, and without further ado, here's Illegal Smile. How's it going, Illegal?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I caught the Shane Van Gisbergen topic, but I haven't seen this new championship format. Go over that a little bit.
Yeah, so we were just discussing because we discussed this multiple times through the second half of the season, and the SVG part is basically how me and Austin have seen that they're using certain drivers as to kind of propel this idea that they need to change the rules. If you've been paying attention to NASCAR, which I think you have, I think you're well aware that almost all the drivers talk shit about the current system, especially in the win you're in. Some, a lot of them even cuss about it. Like that's one thing I've talked to Austin about is like in their interviews, they'll just be straight up cussing about it, thinking it's effing stupid and stuff like that. But why we bring up SVG is we saw him as kind of like a linchpin to bring in a new rules change, because if you look last season, you have SVG come in and he wins a bunch of races, all the road courses, and that eats up all those wins or chances for another person to get in the easy way, the win and in way. And at the end of the, what do you do in the playoffs? Fuck all. He could never win with the formats. There's not even a road course until the second round. Like it's not formatted for him to win. So it's like this weird. We could see that they're going to change the rules. Meanwhile, a few weeks back, we talked about near the end of the season, NASCAR came out and explicitly said we are not changing the rules for next season. It will be the same format next season. And now look at this, right? So, you have them coming out saying, oh, yeah, no, you know what? We are going to change the rules. And so, Austin.
Right. So probably more important is that they lay the 12 seasons and what kind of format, it's going to go to, than them actually making a change on it.
Well, Austin has what was your format potential? You had the 3-3-4, right?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I remember we were talking about this, and then I remember they said that they weren't. We were talking about them changing it to 3-3-4. Then they said they weren't going to change it after they announced that or came out with that, and then now they said they are changing it. So that's what makes me think that that's what it is, or that's what it's going to be. But yeah, I mean there could be a lot of other changes too throughout the year, or even, I mean, sometimes they'll change things, on the spot, like during the mid season or something. But I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of changes, a little minor change, at least this off season going into this next season, with a lot of things like, maybe, like I said, at some point, like one of the things I brought up, I thought, is instead of having cautions for the stages, you just have a stage, and the race keeps going, but you have a winner for that stage or something. Maybe that's something they're thinking about too, or like how many points you get for the stages, or what kind of determines all that. So, and a lot of other things too. I think they're gonna change a lot of things up eventually, because they got to get. Or they always change things anyways, and they just have to keep things more interesting. They would say, and keep people guessing more as who's going to be, because I mean it's been pretty much the same old people, always usually in the final four, or in the the last so many races too. So I'm thinking they're probably going to try to have other ways of get other people in there, or at least have more people competing for a championship, or whatever they decide to do to keep it more interesting to the end. But I mean, no matter what you do, I mean, like I said, sometimes the old Winston Cup way, you'd get a closer championship than what you get under the other new format, which is the playoffs, which is designed to keep it close. So no matter what they do, I mean, there's always ways that, I mean, things could either be exciting or not exciting, or close or not close. But yeah, I mean, obviously the more you change things and the more things you add or take away, just the more manipulation, the more easy it is to rig things and get people, pointing fingers and cause drama. Oh, this change is no good, that change is bad. That's what they've been doing. This, everyone hates the sport if they keep making these changes and they keep doing all this. But I mean, what does it do? I mean, everyone hates it. So whatever they decide, they'll. I mean, maybe it'll be a few seasons with this, and people are going to hate this even more than what they hated 2025 and previous. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Maybe even get rid of that win you're in type deal too. Who knows? And just go off based off points. Whoever has enough points just moves on and makes the playoffs like they used to do. That might be something, maybe more of like an older style chase format, maybe going back in time.
I do want to point out one thing, that almost every single sport has been expansion based. Like in all of their playoff formats, it's been like, look at NFL. Look at how many teams are in the wild card now, and look at college football, and almost every sport is trying to get more teams into the action. So I would say that NASCAR would do something similar in that fashion, that whatever happens, it's to get more drivers into the playoffs. So,
Well, and to get more butts in the seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of fans. Yeah, go ahead.
And what you're seeing going on is the grassroots entity is kind of taking a hold of America. And so you'll see NASCAR lean that way and go back to grassroots stadiums. Bowman Gray, they might go race at Winchester. They might be real stupid and go race at Winchester and get somebody killed.
We've talked about that, so
that's my opinion. If you know anything about Winchester, so and then they went back to North Wilkesboro, and that's the interesting North Wilkesboro is something that I want to kind of lay on you, and that with Ricky Hendrick dying in a plane accident, of course, and Wilkesboro and Larson. I always got to throw him in.
201.
Well, so if you want to, I think our biggest question is, why did they take the championship to Florida? If we want to look that far forward, and what is that about, and why they move it out of Arizona? And then why they killed Greg Biffle. And then when you read his blog or his Wikipedia, it says they discovered him at the winter heat in Arizona. And so, and I'm the deal with that is Arizona, because the West Coast is weak, and so they try to make statements like, we can race earlier than anybody else on the planet, and we can race later than anybody else on the planet. So bring your race out here, bring your car out here, race in the winter, So they always have big winter shows in Arizona. Copper World Classic, and the winter heat and that kind of stuff, and it opens the deal. So I kind of wanted to share on the Mighty Network.
Mhm.
I put my last post I put up there. If you could pull that up.
Let's see, was it
It's under the sports
was
news
it the
feed.
Larson tweets or new?
I'm trying to find it myself. So
Your latest one would have been the
it,
Larson PDF. Larson in 66.
My latest is in the sports news feed, and it's titled it says scripted. Johnson returns to the Daytona, and it's got a big picture of the Coca-Cola 100
Okay.
and the USAC Silver Crown.
Huh. That's
Then it's under the sports news.
okay. There we go.
Okay, so if you that's just kind of a recap on that. If you check out the picture to start with, it's that's Parnelli in the bottom left-hand corner and Mike Bliss in the right-hand corner. The 69 car is Bliss's car, and the car that they're showing up top is JC Agajanian's 98 car. What I find most interesting is that they had it on 517. So, but that's just, I just put that picture in there just kind of like, because I liked it. I took that off the internet. So, and I kind of like what it's showing. So then this is just kind of a recap of what went down with Larson and Jimmy Johnson and Johnson leaving and, Larson getting fired. And then when Johnson left, everybody probably thinks that Alex Bowman got Jimmy Johnson's position, but Larson took Jimmy Johnson's spot. And then they gave him that 5 car. And then, of course, Johnson left Indy, and they announced Larson to go to Indy. And just real interesting things that I have listed in there. And then, of course, if you compare Jimmy Johnson to Kyle Larson, you get basically these numbers are real rhetorical. So the 309, the 57, the 231. So it really doesn't matter what he did or how he did it. It's just the numbers itself that present themselves. We all know that that Larson was born on the shouldn't use his first name, on the 213th day of the year, but that's only once every 4 years. His birthday's on the 212th day of the year, with that 153 remaining. And so that's just basic jargon on what they did with him and his championship. And then you said I could share a screen, or if you go down to the next post, I have a PDF there to my next post.
Yep.
It might be a few down from there. Not the Larson 66, the new 66. Okay, now that's just a few races, a little bit of info, just my notes. You can kind of scroll past that. You might have to fact check that stuff. I think one of those is wrong, but I don't even want to go there yet. But let's go down here to Cliff Daniels. And we see that he's going to be on his, scroll up just a little bit. So if you can go to Daniels. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So go to that bottom race, 7 years, 223 races. So you'd have to go. His 223rd race was the championship. He's on his 224th race. And we see that Cliff Daniels equals 224. And I love what they do with crew chiefs. So, and that's all I want to talk about that. You can just kind of scroll through that. We know Larson's numbers, the 25 and the 83, 38, 79. Those are so pretty. The 201. Always.
Yeah, we talked about that. One thing his Twitter handle, that's one thing we've never talked about, and it has the 177, 69, 93 in there. So that's something we've actually missed. At least I believe we've missed it. I don't think we've ever covered. That's his Twitter or Facebook or Twitter handle.
What, so, Kyle Larson Racing?
Yeah, we'd never seen that.
That's his Twitter.
Yeah. So
the 228 is probably the number that I want to talk about right out of the gate. So if you scroll down a little bit more and just go, if you see Phoenix International Raceway equals 319, and we know that Daytona's on a day leaving 319 days in the year.
Okay.
And we can keep going. This isn't updated. Daniels wasn't updated, and these dates aren't updated. So don't worry about this stuff. This is old stuff because this is from before the championship.
Gotcha.
So now we'll talk about this. Kyle's first time ever was at the Copper World Classic that was held on 228, that number. Okay. And there's the link to it right there.
Oh, was I there?
Yeah, you're right there. You're right there. First time at Phoenix, 1993. So if you open that link right there, you'll see him in a little papoose. And
yeah, I've seen this picture.
That's Kyle. Okay, so that's and then you'll see when they posted that. They posted that the day before his championship on 2021. On I think 11/6. Yep. Maybe 11/5.
11/6.
Okay, yeah. So she posted that on 11/6, and then on 11/71, and the numbers around that are just amazing. So go back to my post, and we go over that a little bit. So, so then we can skip. Where'd we go here?
I think it's like reset it by clicking that link, unfortunately.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, because we started it to get. So,
did we?
What page you on there? You got page numbers over to the right.
I think I shouldn't have exited out of that. I think I need to go back. I think when you click that link, from now on, I need to make sure I open link in new tab. That's what I'll do. Okay. My bad.
So and you see there's page numbers over there on the other
side.
Yeah,
we're here on page 4.
Okay. So now the race on 11/2 is what does it say there? Make it a little bigger for me.
Gotcha. It says that it was the 306th day with 59 remaining.
Okay, and 228. Okay, so the championship race was on. Now I don't got nothing. So
you can't see that,
and vice versa. So 228 is the 59th day with 306, and then we've seen the 59 around Biffle, but 228 to 731 is birthday, 153 days, 731 to 228, 212 days. Now, interesting note, when Larson was fired, that was on his last race in 2020 was on 3/8. And then he said the N-word on 4/12 and got fired on 4/13. Interesting because last year he won on 4/12 and 4/13.
Another interesting thing too is that when Matt Kenseth took over for me, he's in the 42 car, and of course he was fired for saying the N-word. So that's another interesting little piece of it. Obviously, 42 is a big.
Well, they sent him out on the road in his sprint car, and he raced 84 races, and he won 42 races
Mm.
and they signed him back to Hendrick on 10, I don't know, 10-18 or something. And they assigned him the 5 car, and 5 equals 42, of course. So now that 517 is just notable. And of course, they put him in the 5 car and they put his Indy car, the 17 car. And 517 is the 137th day of the year with 228 days remaining. And there's that 228. And that 137, of course, is a 33rd prime number. Now, 228, there's 247 days from 228 to 11-2. And Larson's first Cup race was on 10-12. Of course, we can write that 1-1-2. He went 247 laps, blew an engine. Then Jimmy Johnson's first Cup race was on 4/28, a day leaving 247 days in the year. Of course, we know a little bit about Johnson and Larson, that they're 317 days apart, and that Larson equals 66. And his first race in a stock car was in the 6 car. And then we can blow by all this stuff because this is pretty much notes of, like, you can go over later, because I want to kind of really get to the Greg Biffle. So, and you just see that they're all the coinciding numbers. They decided to put him in the 108th World Series, or Indy 500. So, you know, from the Pope's birthday, 108 days. Then they lay, they'll throw some Ricky Hendrick shit in the mix. He wins. Typically, he wins on Ricky Hendrick's death weekend or birth weekend, or does something stupid. Either one or the other. So, interesting about Ricky Hendrick, and this is an interesting number that 52. His truck win was to Larson's win at North Wilkesboro, which was the opener for North Wilkesboro when they reopened it on May 20th, 23, was 317 days. And that was Ricky Hendrick's only win on July 7th.
7.
So, yeah, the 7s, of course. So, and of course, Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champion. He ran 29 Indy races. If you go look at Larson's acceptance speech, the family is sitting at table number 29, and Hendrick's sitting at table number 7, plain as day. So, so then he got his first win with Hendrick. We know about that on his 227th race on 3/7, the 66th day of the year. He said the N word on 4/12. That was actually on a leap year, so he said it on the 103rd day of the year. Any other year, it's the 102nd day of the year. We all know about 102. Of course, this new Pope, he equals 263. So they just bring it on board. They've been planning this for a long time. They can change the rules all they want. They still know who's going to win the fucking race.
Yeah, and early on last season, they had a couple of clear rituals with the still alive Pope Francis that we were able to identify. Have some pretty good thumbnails based on those, but yeah, one thing that we do need to do more due diligence on is comparing it, especially to this, because I know we went back to it when we talked about the race the race out of Chicago, because that's where he's from, which I believe was an SVG win as well last year.
Right. Well, I can kind of get the SVG. His biggest win was that Mexico win.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's going to tie into Greg Biffle and Mexico and the Carrera Panamericana and Herschel McGriff, who's from Bridalveil, Oregon, and Greg Biffle from actually his little hometown equals what, 59?
What, Camas or Vancouver?
Camas, right up there. They're right up there on the.
I'm right. I'm in Camas.
Yeah,
Right.
they're right up there on the river. So,
Yep.
and
Have you heard about how Greg Biffle has a track in Oregon? They built a track in Oregon.
no, I haven't heard about that. What's that?
Greg Biffle track Oregon. It was a article. If I can't find it all, I'll have to bring it back up.
They either built a track or are they going to name one after him?
I believe it was like a practice track thing, but apparently I'm not finding. But I'll anyway, without being able to, was breeze past that anyway.
So go, and then also Mike Bliss. And the reason I mentioned Mike Bliss is because of that race that Larson was at, the Copper World Classic. Mike Bliss was the winner. And Mike Bliss is from Milwaukee, Oregon, of course. What's his name's from Wisconsin. And it would have been real, not Kenseth.
Gotcha.
He's from Cambridge, Wisconsin. I wish he was from Milwaukee County or Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but he's not.
There's still a little bit of a connection there.
Well,
Yeah, he's from down by like Madison there.
You think about like the Damian Lillard going from Portland to the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, he has a Toyota dealership, Dame Row Toyota, out of Milwaukee, Oregon. So it's funny.
So anyway, Bliss came on board and eventually ended up with Joe Gibbs just for a few little races. And Joe Gibbs was just coming up, just going to be a 3-car team and was running a 3rd car just a little bit. And that was 2004. And then Hamlin came along and Bliss told Gibbs, let's be nice, chose Hamlin and not Mike Bliss. And then we got miffed out here on the West Coast because we're open wheelers and we're rooting for our boys, because that's just the way it is.
So one thing that me and Austin were able to pinpoint for sure last season, I'm sure more seasons, because Hamlin's had a pretty long career at this point, but we put Hamlin on being one of the like linchpins of keeping these races rigged correctly. If you look at all the controversy last season, race to race, there was the him and Bubba mishap. There's just several things happened. Obviously the championship. But what do you think about that? Do you think that he was kind of ushered into that position to be that, kind of brought up in it to be able to be in the position he's at now to kind of keep these races on track, so to speak, for the script? That's what we see with them.
Today's Mark Martin.
Oh, was that what Mark Martin was all about?
Well, he was the greatest that never was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely Hamlin's legacy at this point, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you watch the Hall of Fame speech and if you watch the whole Giddy Up, the show was not about Kyle Larson. It was about Denny Hamlin. Even to Larson's speech, even to Hendrick getting up on stage and giving his pitch, it was about, it's about, they get a hold of America's hearts, right? And draw you in. Oh, you feel so bad for that guy, then, of course, those guys care enough to kill his dad.
I was just going to say, they make you feel bad and then they make you feel worse.
No, there we have it. Okay. So, I hate to be sarcastic, but it's not really sarcastic. Okay.
And who's to say if he's really even dead?
Okay, let's say that too. Because like with and I'll give my conspiracy angle on Biffle. He had a child from another marriage. And maybe he just didn't want him to go around that gal again. So he just said, we're going to disappear and you're not even going to have an excuse to look for us. And then,
well, he owns an aviation like training group, so he would definitely have the means to do something like this, and just the way it went about too.
When they show the crash, they just show a burst of flames. I didn't actually see a plane in the actual crash until after, when they had the still shots. You know, it was then they had it laying there. So who knows if they didn't just drop a big gasoline,
just blow up the gas tank
Yeah.
of a sitting plane. Yep.
Right. And so who knows how that went down.
I'm sure they'll find like probably some Venezuelan passports on board, and there'll be another conspiracy. Oh, look at these perfect Venezuelan passports. This was a terrorist attack.
But it's been going on forever. There were like 15 Charles Mansons. You know, every time a big news reporter went to interview Charles Manson, it was a different guy. It just cracks me up. But anyway, so back to the Larson stuff. We can skim by this because we've been over this. And that's a little bit of Indianapolis numbers. There's accepted speech. This is about Daniels and him lining up at the championship right here. Cliff Daniels, he's born on 6/30. And of course, Larson's first race was on 8/28, and that's a mirror image of days of the year. Then there's their acceptance speech and Larson's acceptance speech. You guys can catch those if you want. They're a little bit hard. I think you can find them on YouTube now.
Yeah, I didn't actually go back and watch those things. I did see the little headlines about it, but that I should do my due diligence and see the bullshit, because I believe it. I remember just like right after the championship, like Kyle Larson's celebration speech was all about Denny Hamlin. It was just saying like he ran a great race and like, man, it took it's just like, damn, which is kind of like off character of him, because he's in his other interviews, he's quite cocky. Like he's quite cocky. He's like never in the wrong. So
who, Kyle?
Yeah.
Imagine
he's
that.
One of the complainers. I put him and even our boy
Blaney.
Yeah, Blamey. That's what we call Ryan Blamey. He always blames somebody else, and then 3 days later he rescinds his statement and says, "Oh, I've seen the footage. Yeah, I did mess up there." So they have these narratives for certain guys too. I will say this too, with the whole Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Larson, they're both very short, aren't they? Aren't they very short men?
Johnson's like 6 feet. He's kind of tall.
Oh, he is? Oh, I thought he was short.
Yeah, Larson.
They're both from California.
Larson's a little. He could be a jockey.
Well, he weighs about 115 pounds.
Yeah, he could. A brisk wind takes him right out of state.
Yeah.
On Twitter, they got a picture of him and his son. She put it there. He's 7 and his son was 3, and they're both at those ages were the same size. So we could look at this. David Pearson's. He won the first Daytona that was held on 215.
Is there any way I could just stop you really quick? Is this?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen this. Zilich is going to be taking over the 88 in the Cup Series.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Awesome, you didn't tell me this. I didn't see this. So our boy's going to be racing the 97 now. That's interesting, because that's the 25th prime, I think.
Zilich is a big threat for the 500 to me.
He is our guy to watch for sure. Like,
yeah,
they built him up. We've also kind of put him on a Masonic ritual too, with his whole like collarbone injury on the checkerboard.
Well, I have reasons for that. So, but anyway, what I found interesting about Pearson's is his 105 wins. He's second all time.
Yep.
And then, of course, everybody that's won this race, and it's been held 6 times, this will be the 7th, is a Hall of Famer. And so I can go out on a limb and say I don't see anybody but a future Hall of Famer winning this race, and just for the 215.
That seems like there's a now. Okay, so when you say something like that, I want to kind of pick your brain because this is your first time on, so I want to, of course, we're talking NASCAR here and everything, but I do want to. We were able to identify a lot of Masonic clues and hints, and even a straight up ritual with the whole, of course, with the Shriners 400 race. But when you say something like that, think about the logistics. Like, what do you think that the logistics behind this is that there is a echelon of people that are setting these things up so that they have notoriety and a legacy built in, so that obviously you believe in the rigging. So when you say that they're all future Hall of Famers that have won this race, and if that continues, think about the logistics behind it. Does that mean that knowing that piece, is that pretty much clearly identify that whoever wins this race is not, it's either going to be somebody that's destined for the Hall of Fame clearly already, or somebody that will get it, say a newcomer wins it, that they're destined for Hall of Fame in that way too.
Yeah, and destined is good because see, Kansas won it and he wasn't in the Hall yet, and Junior won it and he wasn't in the Hall yet. Pearson's, Petty, and Earnhardt were. Petty and Earnhardt were, they were the inaugural class, 2010, and Pearson's came in 2011. So I find it interesting that the Kansas race went 152 laps. So now we can go down here and read this. The Turkey Night just kind of was a place where I was going to go, and then it got by me. So I haven't done a lot of work. Corey Day is the winner of the Turkey Night. If you guys don't know anything about that race, it's a rite of passage. Guys like AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, Tony Stewart, Parnelli Jones, Larson, Bell, they're the winners of that race. And it's Tony Stewart said it was the greatest moment of his life.
Other than hitting that guy,
he won it at Irwindale. So it's but anyway, so we know about Biffle and Johnson. Johnson's first win was Biffle's first race, and that was that 247 day that Larson blew his engine on 10-12 at 247 laps. So then we see that the time of the race was, and these are real interesting to me, I think they're messing with me a lot, was 3 hours and 19 minutes.
the date numerology.
So now Biffle's first win was on 7/5/2003, and that's 433 days. Or what did I say?
A span of 43, 433 days.
So, and the 84th prime, and of course Johnson has taken that number 84. He said he took it because it's for his 84th win.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot more to it than that. I haven't really divulged, but like then Larson had a kid. He named him Cooper Donald Larson. That equals 84. It equals 201, 84, 231. He was born on 12/31.
See, I didn't know that he had a kid with the middle name Donald either, because if you remember, Donald Trump did the inaugural pace car for the Daytona 500. So, man, a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
So then this goes over. Well, a lot of that stuff's in that.
Also, Cooper's another car. It's just so stupid. He got Miata naming his kid Cooper. Come on, man.
So they promoted him to go to the Indy 500, and he was going to race for McLaren. And Bruce McLaren was born on 6/2, and if you write McLaren, it equals 66. and McLaren's first race car was a Cooper,
Mm.
and his one and only win came in Florida. So, and this all connects to them moving the championship to Florida. So, Indianapolis, the Indy 500 is the poobah. Okay, nobody gets a anointment to Indy from fucking NASCAR unless you're really special. Really special. He's in the club. So see what's going to happen with Larson that's not going to happen with those other guys is when it's all said and done, he's going to own that race team. He's in the club.
You know, he has that trajectory too. He's got the controversy down pat. You know, all these guys have some sort of major controversy. Wouldn't be surprised if one of his plane crashes and he survives. That seems to be a prerequisite for a lot of these NASCAR guys. What do you have to say about the whole NASCAR plane crash rabbit hole? It's just
it's so that's an easy way to get rid of somebody, and it's an easy way to get rid of questions because there's not a lot of evidence when they're done, you know. And it's nobody's fault but who was in the plane, and they're not around to tell you. So Davey Allison's helicopter crash, they stopped and they picked up Red Farmer, and they picked up a couple other guys, and they took off for Darlington. No, not Darlington, Talladega. And they come land, and they showed it on the news that, you know, the day it happened on the 12th of July.
This is the guy that he was the one flying the helicopter, and so they did this guy dirty. He was just like, yeah, he only had 9 hours of flight time. This noob.
So no, check this out. So the helicopter comes in, it lands. Okay.
On Talladega, on the
pad, on the helipad. Okay. It lands, it tips over on its side, its blades go slap, slap, slap about 2 times, and that's it. It's over. And they drag, and 3 guys jump out. They say Red Farmer was hurt and he had to go under fucking protective custody for 9 months because they thought he was going to tell, because 2 motherfuckers beat in Davey Allison's head, and while that thing landed, and jumped out of the plane and said he had massive head injuries. Yep. He's dead. Okay, and that's all there is to it. So, see, I'm stupid. So that's what my friends tell me anyway. So, Davey had 19 wins, 191 races. Red Farmer came out and said he was Davey's crew chief in ARCA, and so Red Farmer came out. He goes, I was 60, and they asked me to come test Davey's car for Daytona, because Davey was in Arizona. I always say that. That's the Phoenix Rising, and he goes, and I was really proud, and I got to go to Talladega and test the cars, and then we took him to Daytona, and Davey was in practice and wrecked the primary car, and he came back and he was in tears, and he said, my car, and Red said, don't worry, the secondary car is just as good as the primary car. And this is where they got me. So then Logano goes to the Daytona 500, and it's all about Logano, and he wrecks his primary car, and he has to go to a secondary car. So now I'm all over Logano for the Daytona 500. But he
some homage paying there,
because Davey won the Daytona in the backup car, so in '93. But he didn't win it. But also another clue in that was, he said it was February 13th. That's that 213 number. I was standing in the winner's circle at the Pure Later. I think it was a Pure Later 300 at the time. It was the ARCA race. I call it ARCA, or Busch race. And he said it was my mother's birthday, and she actually came to the race. So, and that I can talk about as we go forward. I don't think Davey plays into that this much this year. His win was on 219, and we'll see that number a little bit, but it won't be what I really want to key in on.
So let's quickly go over last. What were the tells for Larson? Because you had Larson, I believe, right? Let's get that that out of the way. You were keen on Larson pretty early on, correct?
Well, the big key for Larson was that they announced him to go to the Indy 500 on 112.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked at all the dates that had 112 in them, and there was only one, and that was the championship that he was in. And then, of course, it was Arizona, and I know his history on that. And so it was pretty easy. And, you know, I keyed on him real well because of that, because of those, just that one number. It's a lot of times I could chase it really deep down in a rabbit hole, and it's really just right there. So you want to keep going?
You had the Kowicki death there too in '93 as well with Davey Allison, both those helicopter plane crashes.
Well, yeah,
back.
I was gonna say something about that earlier. Yeah, Kowicki won his last race on 11-6 in Arizona.
And he won the championship in '92, and he's from Wisconsin, and he dies in '93.
I want to say that's when he won the championship. He won in Arizona. It was a second to the last race because they did go to, I think, Charlotte that year for the final. So, and I know what I was going to say about Kowicki and him keying in. Matt Kenseth started his race career in Kowicki's shop in Wisconsin.
Oh. So now, as far as this Zilich, like, who do you think he's what wing is he riding under? Do you think
2030, 2031, maybe? Yeah, he might win a few races. He might poke his head out of the sand. That team, that Trackhouse team,
mm-hmm.
that, you know, Larson was in business with Justin Marks before Marks got the Trackhouse team. They had Larson and Marks are business partners.
Interesting. That I did not know. And then, of course, you have Trackhouse being involved in the lawsuit in the offseason, which finally settled. Of course, you have Michael Jordan being the headliner and Denny Hamlin, but Trackhouse involved in that as well. So these things don't happen for no reason. These are always to set precedents for something later down the line, and it could be 20 years down the line, or it could be in a couple seasons, or even before that. But these, you hear about these law or these like settlements and these court proceedings, and they're always, in every case, it's to set precedents. One of the biggest ones, of course, this is off of NASCAR, but you think of Roe v. Wade and everything, and how that was a huge thing in the middle of Trump's term and everything. Well, those things are, though the precedent has been set long ago, and they're bringing, though they were set the precedents back then, to bring them up in this moment. So
absolutely,
that's how the courts work. These rulings and things are always to set a precedence. And do you kind of understand the reason why? It's so that they have a legal proceeding. It's so that they have something on record. It doesn't mean that you voted for it. It doesn't mean that we're okay with it. It's just that they'll say, under the law of your country, this is how it works, and we've decided on it through the laws of your country. It doesn't mean you made the laws. You didn't make the laws. But they can go back and say, this is all by the books according to your country. And they expect us all to be, patriots of our country, as if we collectively run it, when in fact just the top oligarchs make all the rules and rig all the elections and rig all the laws, to favor them. And good luck defending yourself in any court setting. It's not meant for that. You would think about it under the founders' ideals that anybody in America, if they had to go to a court setting, they should be confident in defending themselves as long as they can provide certain details and certain facts and certain documents. But look at it. You're shit out of luck if you don't pay a lawyer, even on something simple, because you had to play this game that you didn't vote for and you didn't okay, and it's all the anyway. I can just go on.
No, keep going, man.
Well, I mean, that's basically it. But my main point on these things is the way that they set the precedents for future proceeding, for future things to come out of nowhere. I mean, you think about the laws when it comes to COVID that came out of nowhere. They were able to write in a bunch of little laws and here and there, and they were all based on ones that had come out of like the polio era and things of that nature. And so now you have these like amended laws that they can harken back to for the next pandemic, and they'll say, look at what we did then. Now we can kind of tease it up and tease it down however they want to play it based on 2020. And it's just on and on and on. And these are obviously bigger worldwide they have worldwide effects and far-reaching consequences for regular people. Of course, when we're talking just about these NASCAR proceedings, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep, I don't think, but it is telling, I think, when you see these. We were talking all last season, halfway through the season, like we were really teeing in on that whole lawsuit in the background, and they settled super quick in the offseason. They said that they were going to go back to court at the beginning of the new year, December, before the new year. And they got that thing done quick. They settled quick, which is really weird because they supposedly had a resounding victory over Trackhouse and 23XI and, forced them to take it to a higher court. Whereas as soon as they got there, they just settled very, very quickly. So you have this like up and down weird storyline to follow. But off the back of that, we've definitely thought potentially looking in on 23XI having a bigger season. And now, of course, you get the Denny Hamlin story too. And then, Trackhouse is right there. When we're talking about Trackhouse, and, they got SVG, who has an insane breakout year for a driver who had only won one race up until last season. And I think that they're going to.
We'll see what he does this year, because he won 5 races, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think Mexico had a lot to do with it because of, like I said, the Carrera Panamericana. If you know anything about that, it was Herschel McGriff. The race started on 5-5, and it ended on 5-9, 1950. And Herschel won it in an Oldsmobile 88.
There we go.
Oldsmobile. I think Oldsmobile equals 112. And it was a factory race. It was a Panamericana race, so it was a factory race. Mercedes-Benz was there, all GM and Cadillac and Ford, and Bill France and NASCAR was there. And this guy comes off the Columbia River. He buys a car at the dealer, drives it down there, and whoops all their asses. And then he made friends with France, and he eventually made it to the Hall of Fame. He raced out here on the West Coast. And I don't know if you're into racing, but his shit was really pretty. When McGriff was at the racetrack, the rims on his vehicles shined, and there wasn't a speck of dirt on his stuff, and it's just beautiful stuff. But anyway, that's on the side note. So this 55 and the Mexico, and of course, Cinco de Mayo is on 5-5. And so there's a huge, and I haven't looked into it a lot, but there's a huge connection there with McGriff, Bliss, Biffle, the Copper World. Because if you go to that 5-5 date, and of course Biffle was 55, and you go back to Herschel McGriff, they had a big celebratory race for him in Tucson in 2018. He was the oldest driver to ever race in a NASCAR race, and it was at Tucson on 5/5/2018, and which I found real interesting because they talk about Biffle being discovered at the winter heat, and the winter heat was held at Tucson, and but I don't think they were really talking about the actual race winter heat. What they're talking about is ESPN back in the 90s. They came out with ESPN2, and they needed shit to put on because they didn't have contracts with big sports leagues. So they came down to Arizona. We're filming winter shows down there. And they titled their show The Winter Heat. And the announcer was Benny Parsons. He was the 1973 champ. And he's a Hall of Famer. And he got a hold of Jack Roush and said, "You got to see this kid, Biffle." And Biffle went straight from there to Jack Roush. There's Herschel McGriff in the City of Roses Oldsmobile 88. He's from Bridalveil. He won 4 NASCAR races in his career. His first one was down here at San Mateo, which gave him, and you could go back through my work, probably the reason they brought Jesse Love up so fast with Richard Childress and Childress's connection to Riverside and Sonoma, and lots of wins out here on the West Coast. And directly connected to Herschel McGriff is Jesse Love. And so is Larson, and if you big time, because through this Arizona connection and the winter heat and the Copper World Classic, which we can get to.
Yeah, this guy's still kicking too, so he's doing just fine.
Yeah, he'll be at the Hall of Fame. 123, they're going to have the Hall of Fame, and they're going to give speeches, and their speeches are always very foretelling, and have always provided me with a lot of really good information. So,
wonder if he makes it.
he's kicking. He's in good shape. He said at his speech.
That don't matter.
He said that his speech that Bill McAnally and the France guy are going to build him a car, and he's going to race.
Maybe that's the death we're looking for, Austin. Maybe it's not necessarily a current NASCAR driver, but
at 100,
we're putting this guy in a car.
Old.
Out of my way, pushies! I'm coming through. All right. Well, this is something we have definitely not looked at, and of course, this guy's going to have connections throughout. Like you said, he got the Roush connections as well as Childress. So, right off the bat, just gonna say it. Oregon, by the way, has quite a few. I wonder if in Bridalveil, if there is a Masonic lodge. That's neither here nor there. But anyway, it's just one of those states that has quite a few lodges, and you just got to wonder what, with the age that he's lived up to, and obviously he's a kingpin. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so he's in the club, as you would say. And
well, the family was in timber since the fucking 1800s.
Yeah.
So
with a name like McGriff,
they have money. They got more money than they'll ever be able to spend.
Also, Eldridge That's very close to it. Just reminds me of an occultic word, eldritch, which is kind of just pointing that out. Anyway, but he's got that December 14th birthday. I'm trying to think what December 14th is. There's something on it. It's on the tip of my brain. December 14th being a specific date, but if I think of it, I'll point it out.
Uh-huh.
But I was gonna say, with potentially running this guy's birthday to this induction. I'm curious. Of course, you got 123, that being a conspiracy number. Let's see. So it's
40
40
days.
days, 5 weeks, 5 days.
Yeah. 1 month, 9 days.
Let's see, his birthday's obviously 23 numerology, date of the year. One of the past is 144 and 72. Kind of interesting.
I like that it's 17 days left in the year, but that's 1774, and I wonder if 4 people are going to die over Larson's championship, because 3 already have.
Are you counting his agent?
No, he's born on a day with 17 days left in the year. Oh, Herschel.
Oh, I see.
See the 17?
Yep.
17 days left in the year.
Oh, quite interesting. Well, that's something to look forward to, and that's coming up too. That's 4 days before my birthday.
Well, they're putting
Yeah.
the guy by the name of Harry Gant. I could get you there too. So Harry Gant, he drove the Skull Bandit. Drove the Skull Bandit, and
33.
Yeah, number 33.
Of course.
Now, Biffle's first race that you can find on the internet is the 1989 Copper World. And there were 3 guys in that race. There was Harry Gant, that guy. Biffle. I can't remember who else. Maybe Ted Musgrave. Maybe Ted Musgrave won the race. You guys mentioned something about Musgrave.
Last week we definitely did.
Yeah, and of course Musgrave, he was driving the 197. And correct me if I'm wrong. We'll do it right here. Yeah, nothing. I don't see a whole lot. It's the 45th prime. So
they had numbers going up to 197, huh? Did they have a 201 car?
Oh, probably at one time, yes. You never know. There's a website that will show you all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something to look at just for entertainment purposes.
I like to go back to their original childhood number, so I think that makes a big deal. Joey Logano 10, Larson 1K, so which would be 111 if you want to translate the K.
Oh, good point.
Yep.
And so they all raced right up here in Red Bluff when they were kids. Larson, Reddick, Christopher Bell a few times, Matt Di Benedetto, Corey Day. little hot shots in their go-karts. They were fucking good too. You ever been to the go-karts?
I used to ride one of my friends in growing up in North Portland. He had a go-kart, just a street go-kart, and I remember causing havoc in that thing, just whipping around, trying to make sure no cops were around.
These things are wicked. They're
Mhm.
1 horsepower, 1 pound of car. They fly.
Oh yeah.
They fly, and of course, they're full-grown men driving them. It's so good on a little bull ring. And
See,
they
why
race,
isn't that? Why isn't that on TV? You know what I
they
mean?
race,
Like that should be.
they race to the yellow flag. So when the yellow comes out, everybody just stomps on it.
It's like the old
So
Winston Cup
if
format.
if you want to see some interesting stuff, type in Mike Bliss. Pull up Mike Bliss on Wikipedia.
He's got that 4 or 5 birthday day
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain died.
197, the 45th prime number. That's where I was going with that. So now drop down to his, this is all bullshit. Go down to his 2000, 2004 season. Go down to just make this quicker. Now go down 3 paragraphs and go halfway in the middle of the paragraph. So, and what does it say here?
Said he was driving the number 20 for Gibbs, racing in the Busch series the following year, posting 14 top 10s and finishing 10th in points. Same year, he competed in the International Race of Champions, winning at Chicagoland Speedway. He ran only one Winston Cup race in 02, subbing for Jamie McMurray, who was
There we
subbing
go.
for the injured Sterling Marlin. What a name. Jeez.
Once you guys were talking about that stuff.
Yep.
You were talking about Jamie Little and Jamie McMurray and
Yeah, the Littles, Jamie Little, Jesse Little, Chad Little.
Yep.
Kevin LePage, all of it. Ted Musgrave.
Musgrave. Okay, who won the race? Musgrave in the 197, the 45th prime. Who won the Copper World? Bliss in the 55 car. I think maybe it was the 69 car, which is the Hoffman car, which is a real famous open wheel car, real famous.
Here's the Xfinity series or whatever. 76 top 10s. Holy shit. Only 2 wins. Wow. Sheesh.
Times
be
were
there.
tough.
To be there in 76 races and only win 2 of them. Holy moly. And the truck series is, at least these are, around 10% of the wins. That's not bad. 10% winning 10% of a series, that's pretty good. When you're talking about 100 races, that's pretty good.
I know a guy that's one of the greatest race car drivers I ever knew. He won 1 race in his life. It's a tough. It's one of those sports where you got to know how to lose really good, because you lose a lot. But this guy was in the top 5 all the time. Never pulled off a win. 20 years. But that was in the 80s and 90s. We were thick as thieves. They had a 410 sprint car show in California to rival anybody's in the world, rival the World of Outlaws. Every Saturday night, it was so good.
Oh, Bliss is from Milwaukee too. You might have mentioned that earlier. I just kind of went over my
Yep.
head. Also, he's born on April 5th. It's 4
Yeah.
or 5.
And he won the Copper World on 2/28,
Another
1993. And that was Kyle Larson's first race. I have it documented.
Of course, we. Yeah, it's definitely worth going back and like doing a bigger, because obviously from what I can tell, you're using the details and knowledge from the past definitely to highlight them paying homage to certain things and rewriting, or not rewriting history, but more of a redoing historical events, like you mentioned, the Logano and what's his face, the
Well,
helicopter crash guy.
people
Also,
lie. The numbers never do.
mhm.
So if you want to, let's go forward. Let me show you what I got, because
Okay.
this is going to blow your mind.
Was it in the same?
Yes, in the same
Gotcha.
post. Okay. So this is the same tweet this tweet that we see Kyle at this race on 228, the Copper World. They used it about 5 times. So this is the original one, and they show it at they say we're at spring training and the Copper World. Okay, now Greg Biffle, his first Copper World was on 2/5, 1989. Musgrave was the winner, and Harry Gant was in the race. And now keep going down.
Mhm.
Okay, if you see Carrera Panamericana, let's look at those numbers right there with the Carrera Panamericana. And we see that we got the 353 and the 92, of course, Larson born in 92. I always have liked that. But the 353, that's interesting to me. Let's keep going. Just pointing it out to you. Then we talked about Herschel and him being the oldest. And of course, May 5th is the 125th day. And then a little bit about Ricky Hendrick. And from Ricky's birthday to the Daytona 500. Okay. 6 winners on 215. This will be the 7th. Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champ. That Michael Jordan stuff, 7-timer. Then we went over Larson's first Cup race. Some of this stuff might be repeated because
Do you think Jimmy can take it?
No,
He'll be racing. Okay. You think they're ushering in a new Hall of Famer? Is that your take? Gotcha.
Yeah, let me roll this through and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Okay, so then we go the first round out. Little side note here: Biffle won 3 times in a row at Homestead. His second win there was on 1120. There's that 112 number, and also from Larson's birthday to 1120 is 112 days. Okay, keep scrolling. Biffle's death to the Daytona 500 is 59 days. 228, the 59th day of the year. Of course, 11/2, a day leaving 59 days in the year. Biffle, his last recorded race is on this, was on 4/29, 2025 up at Portland. It was in the Portland 112. And if you want to include the end date, from 4/29 to Biffle's death, it's 112 days. From February 28th to the 15th or from February 28th. Okay, that's that 228 number again. Around the clock to February 15th is 352 days. Of course, Greg died on the 352nd day of the year.
Oh, good point.
Okay. Now, if you want to open up this tweet, this winter heat tweet, this is I can't figure it out. Maybe you can help me with it, but it's real interesting.
Let me get rid of some of my tabs real quick.
Okay. It's actually winter heat was a label they put on a few different races in Arizona. It eventually evolved into a sprint car race that they did down in Yuma at the Mexican border.
This happens a lot with tweets. Yeah, it looks like it's been deleted.
Oh no, you could reload it. It'll come up.
Okay. I see.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, I don't have it either, but.
Are you logged into your deal?
No, I don't have a Twitter, but.
Oh, okay. I think you got to be logged in to get it. I'm not sure.
I could see other ones. Maybe it's private. It's private, or
what it is, it's a picture from the side of the highway. out of the window of Kyle's mom and dad's car. It's on January 1st, 1/1. And it's at El Cajon. It says, "This is Jimmy Johnson's hometown." And it's the sign coming into town, the green one that says population. And the population is 116,000 even. So, and I just wanted you to see that 116 has always kind of just, I've wondered about it. So, and I think I heard you guys talking about it, but I was half asleep. These are like Copper World tweets. They're one of them's a now and then. Kind of show you that they were prepared for this stuff. That one I got labeled now and then. That's the one where they're at spring training for baseball. That's the 313 tweet.
I also think it's pretty funny with that Magic Motorsports.
Well, they came out with a throwback Magic car at Darlington in 2023. And if you watch the ad for the Daytona 500, that car drives right through the front of the screen. His Darlington throwback car that says Magic right on it. So, and that's the car they're using in the ad for the Daytona 500 this year.
Yeah, I grew up right behind, like I was like 4 blocks away from PIR. So it's like every Sunday was like incredibly loud.
Well, we don't want to look at this tweet. We want to look at a different one.
I was just going through them.
Okay, so yeah, but this one, see, so this was the day after he won the championship. They just happened and decided to go down there and put Kyle on his dad's shoulders again after they posted the original one the day before. And then they go, "In your face."
It's pretty funny.
So out of there, I'm going to get to Harry Gant. Okay, so of course Biffle's first Copper World, and his first Copper World to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. 352 days. 112, the anniversary of Larson's Indy News. That leaves 353 days in the year, and so that's where I get that Carrera Panamericana 353. When they announced Larson, there was 353 days in the year. Biffle's first known crew chief is this guy Randy Goss. He's born on 1/12/56. Keep going.
Got the NASCAR 56.
Yeah. This is interesting. This Dick Brown guy, he's still around. The August 12th. I don't know what that's about, but that 128 or 812 tickles my brain.
Are you still kicking? Let's take a look at Mr.
Yeah, he's around, but he doesn't have any.
His name is Dick Bone, so it's like I gotta see.
Yeah, no, his name is Dick Bone. That's what I thought was funny about it, huh? Yeah, that's why I grabbed that. Sorry, man.
No, that's perfect. Dude, we've been highlighting these names for a while.
It's a PG program.
Sort of. Oh, he has died. Okay, he died at 95.
Oh, he's dead. Okay, so you found it. I didn't see him. What was his death date?
May 12th, 2004.
5/12.
Died in Ashboro too.
Dick Bone.
Yes.
Dick Bound, Dick Down with Dick Trickle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dick Trickle. That's a good one too.
I mean, Dick Childress too. So many dicks. Okay. Oh, so he was out of Portland, Oregon too. Man, one thing that, obviously I know about PIR and I never really thought about it. It's like, why would they, of course they're going to build a track, where they plan on having, obviously lots of races, but, where it's like a foundational place. We've kind of talked about this, it's PIR, but I wonder if it's close enough to, what's the, so PIR is like right before this giant, like it's right before the Willamette River crosses over to Washington. And there's a giant, like it used to be a huge hub, like a mall area. There's a huge mall, and damn, the name of the mall is the name of the area. But what I bring that up is because me and Austin have noticed is these like like these boroughs and like side cities and suburbs that they place these tracks in, because it'll say it's in like Phoenix, Arizona, but it's not really. Well, maybe in Phoenix it is, but I don't know everyone off the bat. But it's usually like some sub district of the main city where the actual track is.
Oh yeah.
And those places have Jesuit fingerprints all over them. So we're talking about like they set these things up early, because these tracks are from the 40s and 50s and stuff like that when they were built. So some of them, and at least the really old ones, but even like the ones from the 60s and 70s and stuff, they're whether it's their name, of course we talked about North Wilkesboro and Indianapolis, obviously. But anyway, just interesting. Fuck, what's the name? That's bothering me. It's just like I 100% know it. It's just when I go to think about it, I can't think of it. Let's just look it up. Because Jansen Beach. That's what it's called. So I wonder if I'm curious of the Jansen Beach. You could say that it's in Jansen Beach, the PIR track. And God, if you consider, and here's the thing about Jansen Beach, it used to be like a nice area, whereas in the heyday of Portland, say probably the 40s and so on, that it was like a poppin' area, and they had a pier and everything like that. Nowadays, all you see is the remnants of the pier, which is so funny, which is so weird. I think like when these piers are discontinued, they just leave the bones there in the water. They don't just take the whole pier away. They just leave. Anyway, makes you.
That's interesting. The 46th day of the year on 215. Biffle had 19 wins. Allison had 19 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but growing up, I didn't really because when I was growing up, I remember all the races that were being basically, because they did races every Sunday during the nice nice months, nice season, spring and summer, and they were just kind of like grassroots events, people bring they weren't major events. Now I know they went back to PIR just last year for an invitational, but I didn't know it had such a legacy, if you will. And I grew up right next to it.
When I was a kid, we had grassroots racing. We called it hard liquor and handgun night. Anybody with a pistol or a bottle got in for free.
Like who's going to stop them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be a subject of research for me to go back and look at the history of PIR, because I grew up in Portland, and I was literally right next to it, and between the train going off,
they built
and,
it for
and PIR.
They built it for Indy cars, and it was the big ramrod behind it was J.C. Agajanian, that was that first picture I showed you, that 98 car. He won 4 Indy 500s. He won his first one in 1954 with, at the time, the youngest, Troy Ruttman, the youngest to ever win a international race. It was a Formula One race at the time. And
Oh,
then
they
he
call
won
it Delta Park.
63 with Parnelli, and he won in, I want to say 75 and 78. I'm not sure. Maybe that was the 5 car, and 78 was Penske's.
Well, look at Delta. So I apologize. Jansen Beach is just beyond that, but they consider it, which Jansen Beach is in Delta Park. But look at that, Delta Park 56 got the 88 in there too. But obviously that
Right.
56 going with NASCAR. And now, granted, I would say that potentially, they place it here knowing that NASCAR is going to be the future of the sport, and that's kind of why we point out the numbers, matching up for, especially with NASCAR on courses that were built well before the NASCAR series. It's kind of, in our opinion, it's proof that they had the script far out in advance. So
Right.
just another example. You think of Portland International Raceway, it's in Portland, but you look up where it is, it's in Delta Park, and that equals 56. So what do you know? Victory Boulevard. So yeah, this is something I can maybe do a little bit more digging. Who knows? Maybe in the future they'll open this up to actually have a race in the series, because it is a road course, I believe, or it's multiple. It can be an oval, or maybe not an oval, but I believe it's a road course.
Yeah, it's a good race course. It's world class.
And it's sad too, because when I was growing up, it was in disrepair. It's all wood paneling that it's like made out of.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I know, but it was all like, and all the paint was all messed up, and it just
Yeah.
looked like it's old, which is kind of cool as well. But I mean,
Go down to Cottage Grove, Oregon, to their little dirt track where the bleachers are falling apart. You see some of the best races you'll ever see in your life.
I've been to PIR one time, and that was later on in my life, not actually that long ago, a few years back when I lived in Vancouver, and my friends built, my roommate and friends, they built Subarus, and so they would do polls down at PIR. So
Yep. So let's move on.
yep, I would say we probably have another half hour or so.
Well, then let's worry, because I got the good stuff at the end.
Gotcha. And this is back in here. Gotcha. Sorry, Dick Bone is, you can't just throw Dick Bone at us and expect us not to get sidetracked, brother.
So let's go right here to Skull Copper World Classic 352. And I always talk about JC Agajanian, and he is number 98. The Turkey Night Grand Prix is 98 laps, yada, yada, yada. His Indy car is the number 98. Anyway, we don't need to look at him because he he was born on 5/5. Okay.
Was he Hispanic?
He was Armenian.
Oh, no, interesting.
So, and they just good stock. They had a pig farm, and they turned it into a garbage dump down in Los Angeles. And
from one heap to another.
There's a lot of money, man. And when people give you their garbage to feed your pigs, you pretty much profit every way you go. So then, of course, the 211 is all over in the Copper World Classic. 211 is all over Rick Hendrick. And the 104, Larson won his first race in a truck on the 104th day of the year. That was on 4/14 or 144, which is I really like a lot. I see this winter heat in the 51. Of course, Larson's first Cup race came in the number 51. He ran 4 races for Harry Scott, 219 races for Ganassi, and he ran his 224th race and on for Hendrick. And we'll get to that. So Again, Denny Hamlin's dad, he died on the 300. Oh, that was December 30th. Never mind. So then I kind of note that he got his 17th win. I just like that he's got that 17 number and they stamp 17 and it's one of Hendrick's numbers. I think they're going to give it to Corey Day when they bring him up. When they get rid of Bowman and they bring Corey Day will be in Cup in 2 years. He's better than Larson, in case you're wondering. And you got to be good to do this. So now Harry Gant was born on January 10th. And from the 10th of January to December 28th, 352 days. The day Dennis Hamlin died.
Yep.
Okay. Harry Gant's last win was at Michigan on 8/16, the 228th day of the year, with 137 remaining. Of course, we talked about Matt Kenseth and the 137th day with 228 remaining. So now Harry Gant's last Cup race was on 11/13/94. Now, Kyle Larson's first race was when he was 7 years old on 11/13/1999. Now, 11/13 is the 317th day of the year, the 66 prime, and of course the 317 in Kyle Larson. Now, I wrote Harry Gant's last NASCAR race. This is a Northwest race. He ran it up at, I think they call it Evergreen Speedway. And Bill Elliott was there, and Harry Gant. They have those guys come up to promote the track. Just happened to be on the 31st of July. And then back to, this is rhetorical stuff on the Skull Bandit stuff. Skull Bandit Copper World Classic 319. Keep going. Harry Gant equals 112 and 131. Oldsmobile 106. There's his nickname.
106 and 56 like NASCAR, so
Yes.
no wonder.
Yep.
And
43 too, like NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, and Oldsmobile 88, which Herschel McGriff was driving, 112, and 104 like Larson's first win at Cup. Keep scrolling. We don't have to waste time on that crap. I think I got this backwards. I think 12/18 to 8/28.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is Larson's first Cup win at Michigan to Biffle's death. Just happened to be 112 days. Gant's birthday to Larson's first pavement win. Now you can open this up. This was at that's Lucas Oil Speedway in Indiana, right across the street from Indianapolis. Now they say that he did it on May 28th, but then you go down the next day and they say, oops, it was on 7/28. And of course he's driving the 67. That's Keith Kuhn's car. That's a really famous race car right there. So, and that was his first time. And the only reason I bring this up is because it was his first time on pavement. He never drove on pavement before. Everything I'm showing you is either first win, first race, last race, that kind of stuff. So get out of there. And so then we can go to, and that's Gant's first, to the July 28th is 199 days. I found that interesting because from Larson's birthday to the Daytona 500 is 166 or 199, one way or the other. So now Biffle's first Cup win was on 7/5. Okay, now I'm out of stuff there. So go back. I'll just give you the date 2/2. Okay.
You want me to put in?
Yeah, put it in the calculator.
Gotcha.
So 2/2 is the 33rd day of the year. And that is 2/15. That's 13 days from the Daytona 500. Put the Daytona 500 up there.
And when's the Daytona 500? My bad.
2/15/26.
Yeah, that's right. Slipped my mind. Yep, 13 days later.
Okay, so now just go
Well,
2/15.
interesting. 1 week and 6 days, like
Yep, I was
16.
gonna
Like
say that.
Biffle.
Yep.
Okay, now go 2/2/27. Just up a year on the 2/2. No.
Oh, I see. I misunderstood.
So 2/15, and then
So to the next year is 351 days. Gotcha.
no. You got 2/16 up there.
Two. Oh, I see. Wait, what did you want here?
2/2/20/27 to 2/15/26.
Okay.
How many days?
Yeah, I think that's what I had. 352
Okay, so we
for
like
another
that number.
352. Yep.
Okay, now go from 2/2 to 7/5. Biffle's first win.
Like the anniversary of his first win.
Yes. Okay, and you can go either way on that.
And that would be 2/2/2026, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Any year.
153 days.
Yeah. And Kyle's born on a day with 153 days left in the year. Like I said, that's Biffle's first win. And 2/2 is Kyle's mom's birthday. Now go 6/21.
Interestingly enough, 7/5 has 22 date numerology twice as well too. For that
Okay,
2/2.
it was go 2/21. 6/21, excuse me.
There you go. To 7/5.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
2 weeks later.
now flip it around.
Oops. So 7/5. What do you mean flip it?
Just what 1 year over the other.
Gotcha. 351 days.
Add the end date.
Yep. Span of 352.
That's Kyle Larson's dad's birthday.
I see.
There's a lot more. I got a lot more. I don't really have time to do it.
What I would suggest is synthesizing these 112s and these 352s. If you were to have, like, I mean, not to say that I had any problem I enjoyed going through your information and everything like that, but I'm just saying if you were to want to make a concise like presentation on one thing, the 112s have really stood out to me. I mean, that's where I think you're definitely on to something. This isn't like a opinion. You're on to this whole 112 thing, not to mention, the championship date and everything like that. So I would follow this 112 thing as far as you can go. And obviously in our research, now we'll know to look for that number and highlight that number when we see it. But yeah, dude, I think the 112s have spoken for themselves. Obviously the 352s and the spans as well, with the spans and without, have been glaring as well. And yeah, so as far as outside of the numbers, I know you're alluding to a lot of things, but do you want to throw some predictions out there for who maybe takes Daytona? Is it just Larson?
No way.
Okay.
The trouble is his 33rd win.
Oh, that's something we could look at too.
And
When are they going to give him that? That's the question. When is
maybe
that
the Shriner? Oh, I don't know if there's a Shriners this year.
So that's where you got to put your finger on it. Now I know that she's born on the 33rd day of the year. I know he's born on the 13th day of the year. I know Red Farmer said that he won on 2/13. He's born on the 213th day. So and it was his mother's birthday. So those are clues for me that Joey Logano on Mother's Day, he won that year. He didn't do the Davey Allison stuff, but he won on Mother's Day and he won the championship. Just like I seen Red Farmer, and Red Farmer told me that at the start of the year at the Hall of Fame speech. There was no question about it. Because, see, he was in the garage. He was an Alabama gang guy, but he didn't travel. And Donnie Allison and Bobby Allison were gone. and, and Red Farmer basically raised Davey Allison. That was Donnie's son. And so, because they said, just go to Red's house. And then they started a relationship, and Davey crew chief for Red and Red crew chief for Davey. And then when Davey went to Cup Cars, Larry McReynolds took over. You can always keep your eye on what fucking Larry McReynolds is up to.
Oh yeah.
So, because he was Allison's crew chief. He
So
was in the fucking helicopter when Allison got killed.
Gotcha. So one thing that me and Austin have put like, yeah, I mean, it's completely undeniable is the link between William Byron, the driver, and Bill Lee, the governor of Tennessee. Each win for Byron was inextricably linked to Tennessee and Governor Bill Lee. I know we did didn't we do a cursory glance at some dates and some things with Bill Lee as far as the inaugural race Daytona this year? And wasn't there some numbers looking kind of interesting for Byron?
Yeah, I thought we just looked at that last week or the week before, and I thought there was something there. And yeah, I mean, he's trying to go for 3 in a row.
Yes. And 3 has been a very popular number, especially last season.
And it'll be 25 years since the death of Dale Earnhardt, and that, he drove the 3, obviously, and got that April 29th birthday with Chad Little, and there's a lot alluding to that, I think, too, especially, 25 years, death equaling 25, 250 years of America. So there's, we might get a death or something this year, what they maybe want to make out to be a death or whatever, like, the Dale Earnhardt incident, however that was staged when they did that. I mean, because it's been so long since we've had, there's been just so much ritual sacrifice this off season. Why not take it to the track,
Let me throw this in and keep going. April 29th was Biffle's last race, 112 days from his death. So you said keep going with Dale Earnhardt, with Earnhardt and the 429 birthday.
Oh, good point.
Yep, that's Chad Little's birthday. That's my birthday. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that's good shit.
Not to mention they do this inaugural, this cookout clash. Of course, they're doing this in North Carolina, and people will say, of course, their headquarters that NASCAR has headquarters in North Carolina as well as Florida and that, but maybe there's a clue into what they plan on doing with the point. Maybe they do something closer to the Winston Cup Series with this points change, or with this change in the playoff format, opening up in Winston. And of course, you have the North Carolina connection with Biffle and his death and stuff. So I don't know.
Right. So
lots to think about. And I wonder if they'll do any major type of ritual, because of course, last year Trump come out and do the pace car. I wonder what they plan on doing this year, if anything.
Well, then that cookout that they had it at Los Angeles, the stadium, and that was on a 2/13 date, and Logano won it, right? And what was I going to say about it? Oh, in the 213 area code, and then Logano come back and won in Arizona. What's Arizona? 312 area code.
Little reverse action.
Yeah. So don't keep your eye on what they do there on 2-1, because that's the car that's got 100 wins. The Wood brothers, or now 100 plus. That's who David Pearson's drove for, was that 21 car, that Wood brothers. That's how they racked up all their wins.
So let's do a little quick go through all of the tracks because as I've alluded to, we've talked about they've canceled. I'll just say canceled for lack of a better term, but they've discontinued, I guess I should say, a lot of tracks that they did last year in lieu of other tracks this year. So there's going to be some track switch ups. I don't know what that exactly pertains. I don't know what these tracks, if they're ovals, if they're not. I'm not hip to all that just yet. Obviously, you guys will have a better idea.
I don't think they've lost a track.
Well, I've seen lots of headlines saying that their contracts with certain tracks were ending after 20. Maybe it was saying after this year. Maybe it was saying after this year, or it was after 2025. But there were several tracks. They said that was the last time they're going to race there.
Okay.
And I'm seeing some new, from what at least from my memory, that look somewhat new. I don't know if you guys can fill me, and maybe not new to the circuit over its lifetime, but as far as like from last year to this year, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously Daytona, that's not going to be.
I know I think they're bringing back Chicagoland. They haven't raced there in a while. That was one I think that they were bringing back.
I did. Yep, they are. I'm pretty sure when I went through this, I saw Chicagoland. So we have Austin, Texas. Interesting, as a 228 miles track. 228.
Yeah, they probably got to go back there because of the Pope.
Absolutely. Bring it back to his hometown. Wouldn't be surprised if he blesses it.
3:30.
Go to Arizona.
No, we got a 3:22 on Sunday.
That'll be interesting. That's something to look out for.
And the Ides of March. Wow.
Martinsville. That's a good Blaney track if I remember correct.
Oh, there we go. The Advent Health 400 on April 19th.
That's a 201, and that's a little hidden 201 illegal. The full name of Advent Health, it's like Advent Health Care. It's Advent Healthcare something. It's not just pulled out of the blue. It was like in the initial like article for the sponsors of this race. But if you spell that all the way out, it's a 201.
Uh-huh. They had another one there at Kansas called the Bushy McBush. Yeah.
Did Dick Trickle win there or something?
No, and so the first year fucking Kyle Busch won it, and then the next year Kurt Busch won it.
Oh, come on.
I think, and well, no, the second year it wasn't called the Bushy McBush, but he won it. I think it was his last win. I'm not sure.
Now you're seeing the rituals they're doing with the names and the you're seeing that, right? This isn't just me and Austin like giggling like schoolboys, right?
Yeah, I mean, I already listen to you guys enough to know that you know the gematria. I want to show you the angle of what they're doing with that the numbers never lie, and then like once you slap like Harry Gant on that, and you get that 112, and you take it all the way to the Skull Copper World Classic, and then you notice that it equals 319 and 352. I mean, you can't deny that shit. And then you go through every move that Larson had, 352, and 112. And then the little hookups with, of course, the Indy 500 and his whole riddle around that. You know, it was huge. Everything's a riddle around Larson. So even that 224 at the end on his dad, instead of it being or 214 instead of it being 213, because I think, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, Tucson Raceway Park equals 214. And January 21st was 96. That's the race that Biffle was in. That was a winter heat show at Tucson. It's the only winter heat show he ran. He started third, finished 30th. So another 33. And January 21st to 10/12, that's Larson's first race, is 101 days. And Tucson Raceway Park equals 101. So there's just so much that lines up with around the rituals of this guy's death and Kyle Larson. And trust me, I think you're going to see a lot of bodies in his path. And now I'll give you, now I'll give you where you might think I'm crazy. He is that guy. He is the. If you go around the dirt track, they call him the GOAT already, and that's his fellow drivers. That's the other drivers. They're like, he's the GOAT. And
You're speaking of Larson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeff Gordon called him a modern day Mario Andretti.
Mm.
Type that in, modern day Mario Andretti. Mario Andretti was born on the February 28th and had 213 all-time wins.
The exact spelling of Mario Andretti is TTI, right?
Yep.
111.
And look at we're talking about him on 111.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet he can feel it.
feeling it now.
I like the 132.
Is that for
Larson?
I see.
Kyle Larson, 132.
Yeah. So you see why they compare these people. Yeah, great point.
So Mario was born in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and he ran his first race in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm not shitting you, man.
He's the second coming.
213 Champ Car wins, born on 228. 228 to 3 to 731.
And Mario Andretti, he has one of those names that's like larger than the sport, because I didn't know anything about racing, and I knew about Mario Andretti, much like Jeff Gordon. Like, I didn't pay attention to NASCAR when I was growing up in like the 90s, but I knew about Jeff Gordon.
He won the 1969 Indy or Daytona 500 on his 7th all-time Cup race.
Wow, we're talking about the 69th Daytona 500 on
Episode
111.
69. Yeah, episode 69, Illuminati 69. It's all coming full circle tonight.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. What's the Circuit of the Americas? Is this a road course?
Yeah, that's in
It's
Texas.
the Grand Prix. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so it looks like
Formula One races there. I don't think Indy races there, but Formula One comes there and races.
Oh, we can pencil in a potential winner here. We'll see. We'll see with how they want to play with their their new specialist, road course specialist, superstar, especially now that his teammate's coming up, who's giving him a run for his money at Zilich.
Well,
one more to tie Jeff Gordon, and then if he wins 2 more, he'll have the most. So 1 more to tie, and then 2 more, he'll have the most in a row.
We've talked about this, Illegal. Have you been following that for the road course record?
No, but I won't take it away from him. That guy,
I think they need another record to post, so I could see it happening for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that guy's talented. So
dude, you should hear the post-game interviews. People are like, this guy's a robot. He's insane. He's the best thing ever on road courses. You can't beat him.
He is. And in order
Can't do nothing on the oval, though.
In order
he got better.
You got to be good, or they won't use you in that.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
So yeah,
and we talked about that first win because it's not like we called SVG winning that race. In fact, we kind of had eyes on Suarez. Of course, Suarez won the Xfinity race on that Saturday. That SVG's first win in the Mexico, the Autodromo. But we did a nice little decode on that race course in Mexico. Not to mention, you had SVG in the WeatherTech car, and it rains in Mexico, and
But that was the safety culture car, the one in Mexico.
Oh, well, he had
safety culture.
WeatherTech and safety culture. He had both.
Yep.
But yeah, safety culture too. Yeah, exactly. And he wins on I believe that there was a caution that came out late. I don't know if he needed it, but I remember there being a caution. I think the closest one to him was like Bubba that race or something like that. It was something weird.
Right. Bubba got second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that it was really interesting that it was in Mexico and that the 88 car won and Herschel.
Did you see the poster for it?
No.
They had this ready to go.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if that'll be enough, but hopefully it should be.
You mean somebody knew he was going to win? You're kidding.
No way.
That's dishonest.
Look at this. Oh, of course it's tiny. Okay, it's kind of grainy, but you see our boy here right behind Suarez. Obviously,
Yeah.
they were. I mean, just think about it. Like, what? I mean, yeah, of course he's good at road courses because he won his first ever, but he hasn't shown any like flashes. Like, why put him on the poster? Come on, why put him on the poster? He's been so like he's had an abysmal career other than his first race. Why throw him on the poster right behind the Mexican driver?
And you got all these greats. Of course, the Mexican driver gets a little boost.
Of course.
But you got all these knowns. You got Chastain, you got Bell,
Blaney.
Fucking all of them. And then all of a sudden, Van Gisberg from the other side of the world. Hey, who's that guy, Dad?
Interestingly enough, the dichotomy they have where it's like Bubba, is over here and here's 1-2. So it's kind of interesting how they did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, foretailing for sure.
It's like 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, the one that I think it was the last one the Patriots won. They had Brady standing there and he had the championship hat on.
He's been in a lot of commercials lately. He's doing commercials for like Pizza Hut or something now. And they're some interesting commercials.
He's the proud property of them fuckers. If you had that much money, wouldn't you just boogie and
well,
go live your
he is
life?
Divorced, so you never know how much he had to, and of course, these things are all contrived. These numbers are all contrived. You don't know about Giselle, but obviously he talks about how Giselle is doing witchcraft but yet he's a Catholic and a Christian, or no, sorry, Jewish and a Christian. How he'd have a menorah, but he was, or maybe it was just straight up Catholic and Jewish in his household. But it's just so much how Giselle is doing rituals and stuff like that. And then did you hear about Josh Allen's ritual that he throws up before every game?
No.
It's because his thumb cramps up if he doesn't. So it's just like this shit they give you, bro. It's like, shut up. What are you talking about? It's like he throws up before every game because otherwise his thumb will cramp up.
Doesn't even make sense. It's just.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's like, I have diarrhea every game before every game, so my eye doesn't twitch. It's like, what are you talking about? So we have a potential pencil in. I mean, like think if you're doing like a bingo card and you could do a little like bingo card here just to like quickly at least pencil in. I guess now 97 for all the road courses is if you're a betting man, at least these are dollar bets. I would assume safe to say that these are dollar bets. Now, are you aware of our I would say, our what would you call it, Austin? Our prolific calling of SVG's career, because it was right after that Autodromo thing that we really, because here's the thing. Here's what's so funny. I'll build it up to you, and then I'll let you close it out. But as far as SVG goes, what we noticed right off the bat was he's in the 88 car. That's a Trump number. That's, Trump 88, all that stuff. Trump did the pace car. And right off the bat, I was just because I didn't know anything about NASCAR. We're talking about, day one, the first race. And I'm just looking at the drivers and I'm like, who drives this 88? And Austin tells me, oh, yeah, that's Shane Van Gisbergen. And he won his first race ever. And he hasn't won since. And he's pretty bad. And so, like, we had this running joke about him. We brought him up almost every talk about NASCAR, just like almost in a backhanded way, but I was basically took him under. I was like, that's my guy. My guy is this guy. And every race we would check. Oh fuck, he's like 32nd. Ah shit, he's dead last. And we'd always check in on SVG every race. And then he wins the race in Mexico, and we're just like, huh. And from then on out, we were just like, noticed his numbers line up perfectly. And then we just saw that narrative build as if it was always there. They started talking about this guy like he was always prolific. And we were just like, dude, we had this way before. And it's like from race one, we had him winning every single road course, and that's what he did. And so, yeah.
Well, I liked the way you guys hung tough on Blaney.
Man, that was a roller coaster. Fuck.
Yeah. But,
goddamn Byron.
It was the International Tennessee Day. That was the only thing to stop that narrative. Otherwise, we literally even called the way the race was going to go, how it was going to play out. Everything was there. And then we called it. He said he could win the last two races. He was going to win the last, and that's exactly what it was going to be. Yep. The only thing to get in the way of it was International Tennessee Day, because he wins the last race. Woulda, coulda, shoulda had the Martinsville race. So yeah, we called it to a T. Except the kicker all year was we forget International Tennessee Day. That was the biggest whiff.
Austin texted me halfway through that race, and this is before Blaney was like in a commanding spot in that race. And he tells me, and I'm like, or it was kind of like, wow, it was like midway through the race, Blaney was looking pretty good. And he texted me that, and I was like dead beat. And this was Sunday, so we're going to do our podcast later on. And I'm like, I'm passing out. And so I just have the little ticker up, and I'm just like, I'm taking it in. I'm like, I'm like, that's scary. Cause like at this point, this is the culmination day. We have been talking about this, and it lined up so perfect. I'm talking about like every week we were explaining exactly how this could go down. And every week it got harder to hold on to, because our narrative required Blaney to be the dark horse, because he's in the dark horse Mustang. And so he couldn't be the dark horse and the best driver. So like pretty much all season, he was one of the best drivers. So our narrative didn't make a lot of sense. But the later the season got and the end of the playoffs, we're just like, holy shit, here it is. And if he wins the last two, there it is. That's the dark horse coming out, and like all these narratives and everything happening. Of course, you have the Mustang, dark horse, or is it just Mustang and Trump? So there's a lot of narratives at play, but the overwhelming narrative that we exposed basically with Byron was right there, and we didn't see it. And I woke up to look at the race to see that, Blaney gave up the race in the last, like 10 laps or whatever. It's just like, fuck, man. But yeah.
So we appreciate you, you having your calls in, because that's documented. So, you were well ahead. We talked, obviously after that race, we were just like, all right, Larson's got it. And, it seemed pretty obvious to us at that point, but you already, were keyed in on it and you had it. So props to you, man. Well,
yeah, and you called the Joey Logano win back in 2022 when he won that too. I remember when you called that as well. I had picked Logano to win in 2022 as well, but I remember you also called that first, and you called this one. So yeah, you've called at least a couple now, at least a few of them you've called.
Yeah, I had Blaney in 23 too, but that was just over one thing, and that was that Alzheimer's deal that he was doing, and his grandpa Lou, which isn't the grandpa that has Alzheimer's, but his grandpa was one of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest. So
The nepotism in this sport is crazy. I mean, there's nepotism in every sport, but damn, you look at how it works, and when you talk about masonry, it's like what more example of there of nepotism than Freemasonry, and we've noticed a lot of it in the sport. I mean, talk about Gibbs. I mean, we've documented a lot with him, and I'm sure it's between all these owners and things of that nature. But
right, I haven't even looked at the Joe Gibbs shit because they got to give him a little treat at some point.
well,
I
isn't
mean,
he past? I mean, I think he's still like in name the owner, but doesn't he have? Isn't there a new owner to Gibbs Racing?
okay, I don't know, but I don't know for sure. I know
It's
that
been speculated for quite a while, so I don't know if it's yet, but
so we go back to Christopher Bell. He's a great dirt tracker in the class of Larson when it comes to driving a midget or a sprint car, and at times better. And you didn't see him on the dirt track for like 3 years, and it was not because he asked. He did all his dirt track racing through Coy Gibbs, and Coy supported it, but Joe was 100% against it. And so you don't see Bell at dirt track races, but you've seen him lately, and you see Ty lately racing dirt tracks. So that tells me that Joe Gibbs is letting go a little bit, maybe, huh?
I'd be careful if I was a Gibbs, because the other two brothers are dead and gone. So,
and Ty Gibbs, he hasn't run that many dirt tracks, but he's shown me a lot. He's good.
Bell was a big piece of that. There was a big ritual with Bell last year with his three-peat. Very, very Masonic the way they did that. Of course, he closed out his three-peat on the Shriners 400, and interestingly enough, you had Catherine Leahy in that race, and her and Bubba Wallace. So you have the female and the black guy take each other out in the Shriners 400. Where the Masons are primarily white men, and you have the two subclasses of you have the Order of the Eastern Star and the Prince Hall Freemasonry being the subclasses. So it's hilarious.
Yep, they do it all the time, and sometimes they just put it in your face. When they handed half the deal to Jeff Gordon, that was a no-brainer. I live in California, so I had to go to Reno, but Bowman was 28-1 that weekend, and just a little bit of thinking said that car was going to win. And everybody else said, well, if it's about Jeff Gordon, it's going to be the 24. And I'm like, they don't do it that way. I said, you watch. And fucking Bowman won the race. And I put $100 on him. I won $2,800.
There you go.
And I had a great time in Reno. I don't go there I don't like the road, so I never go there.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did they race in Long Pond last year? I don't remember this particular track.
They race at Pocono.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know if they ever take the title of Pocono and race at another one. I just don't remember that one, I guess. I'll remember these. And here's what Austin was talking about. They're bringing it back Chicago land. So
Kind of like how Dover used to be called Dover Downs. Now it's just Dover. Sometimes they change the name sometimes too. Could be the same place, but they might alter the name or add or change something.
So that the September 6th race, the Southern 500, that's the Poobah. You know that, right?
Blaney's done well in Darlington, if I remember right.
That's the most foretelling race that they have right there.
I mean,
that's the man.
They'll call the foregone winner at Darling. They use that, of course, in like NCAA basketball. That's more of they'll use that terminology, but I can see it.
No, that's
They'll run
just
throwback
that's the
paint schemes too at that race. They'll run like older paint schemes people used to run, and I think it's the at the Southern 500. It's one of those Darlington races. They do the throwback one where they pick old schemes to run.
right. That's the oldest race NASCAR holds.
Well,
Been around
homage paid.
since 1950, or I think maybe even 49. Herschel McGriff ran the first one, and he got 4th place. And he drove they say he drove his car from Portland, Oregon to the Southern 500 and raced. Took 4th place and
I got to break in the motor.
Yeah, but you see what you get.
The victors write the history books.
Absolutely. They're able to kind of pen in there those stories that will be talked about, over the course of, people will harken back to those things. And especially if it, like Austin says, if they use this as a race to, use old schemes and do that, there's definite reason for that.
So, and they got this thing on a 266 rotation, right?
Explain.
Okay, so type in Larson's 11-7-21 win. And then type in his 11-25 win. No, on the calculator.
Oh, shit. My bad. Thought you were just looking. Gotcha. Sorry, say the dates one more. 11-7.
11-7. That was his first championship. And 215. 26. Try that.
Do you want the anniversary?
Yeah, flip it around.
Gotcha.
Flip it around the other way. No, go 2000. Yeah, just go. No. Either
Say
way.
what?
Just go the year over the top. Go over see that?
266.
Yeah. And the whole thing.
38 weeks.
Yeah. So when you see that 101, and that's why I told you that Tucson Raceway Park equals 101. That's why I'm showing you that, because go the other way and you'll see the 101.
Oh, wait, anyway, take your word for it. But yeah, dude,
just go 20, just take one of them, go up a year, down a year.
Gotcha. 101 days difference.
Yep.
3 months, 9 days.
All right. Well, very
I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, no, that was great. And I don't know if you've imparted your wisdom, through your voice per se, rather than just your presentations on Mighty or whatever. But yeah, feel free to let us know if you want to come share more, and we can hold segments. I mean, NASCAR is right around the corner, so
Right, maybe
bi-weekly,
after
bi-monthly, monthly.
After the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it after the Hall of Fame. There's bound to be something amiss. Something comes out of that.
I'm super slow at this shit, right? As far as taking it from my head to the paper. So that's where what I gave you in those things, download that stuff, because I'm going to take it down for Mighty.
Gotcha.
Because there's rats that want to steal it, and you guys are welcome to have it. and share it anywhere. But I have to kind of, be careful what I leave places.
Real quick, right before we go, because we do got to get out of here. Just what's up with that guy who? Sorry, that Garen fella who posts on your Mighty. Because I'm sure you saw that Rick James was suggesting you join our podcast, and
Yeah, I did.
he's an odd fellow. I can't follow a single thing that he says, but he got really mad at Rick James for suggesting that you join our podcast.
Says we should be in the trash.
I didn't
the garbage can or whatever.
I didn't understand it. I didn't respond to it because
I wouldn't. It's good, smart.
No, I thought, what does my buddy say? He says it's like it's an unarmed man. He's an unarmed man, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to this stuff. So that's
and Rick James handled it like the absolute gentleman that he is.
Yeah, and, I was going to send him a note to tell him to come check this out. So you guys don't mind if I let him know this happened, huh?
No, of course not. I mean, yeah, no, we're in semi. We talked either through Dale or he's open to our email, and we always talk when we're in the Zach's chat as well. So
right, and this is great because one. If I call Zach, it's complete. Most of the time, it is completely off topic and it's rude. Okay, so I did call him when he did a post on Greg Biffle, and he opened the door just a little crack, and of course I had to come all the way in, but it's cool. I'm okay with that. I get a phone call to him every once in a while, so it's nice to have you guys. It really is. In some place, especially at the low key deal that we're at, it's not like, okay, hurry up, get next caller. And I see that, but man, most of the time I'm on pins and needles to begin with. So I don't react well to trying to hurry up. So thanks you guys, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good.
So
and you did a great job sewing up loose ends from last week. We're talking about all these connections, with in all these ways. A lot of stuff with everyone we mentioned, Michael Annette and Greg Biffle and Casey Kane, and we're just going down the list. Kevin LePage and Ted Musgrave and even Jesse Little, Jamie Little. Obviously, we're talking a lot about Chad Little and Chad equaling 16-16. But I mean, that was a outstanding, phenomenal catch there with the Biffle's last race, literally on Chad Little's birthday, with all those connections we were making, and that's Dale Earnhardt's birthday too. And that really syncs it up. I mean, last week that's just perfect info for last week. Just that was an undeniable episode. We were in 16 city. I mean, it was 16 this, 16 that. We had even more 16s tonight. A lot of stuff that you found and that you came up with, and complemented what we came up with last week. And I think, like I said, sewed more. I mean, there's even more stuff to talk about with all this and add in. There's so much to it, but I think it went hand in hand very well last week and this week, and you brought a lot of things to a full circle. So that was a great job.
So yeah, I could make a couple predictions. I could call with that 55 on, and I've seen that 55 so hard stamped all over this that I could say Larson could win 10 races this year. So he did it in 2021. And the 19, that was, when was that? 2022. They had 19 winners. They set a record with 19 different winners.
See, I don't see them doing that very often anymore. Honestly, I think that's too loose and free with it. I do see them going more towards what they did last year, where they have, 10 or so winners, especially when you have guys like Hamlin and Larson and SVG picking up, 5-4 wins each,
right?
Really chewing up the wins, the potential wins throughout the year. How many races are in a standard?
36.
36. Yeah, I mean, just between three drivers, and then of course you had Bell, and so yeah, I mean, there was few and far between races for 19 drivers to win. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe they do want to shake things up, especially if they do have the expansion in mind. And we'll know more about this tomorrow too. So remember to check in on this. Illegal. Check in on NASCAR. They're announcing their rules changing tomorrow, so maybe that'll pave some sort of. Maybe that'll throw some light bulbs on, especially if they move towards like a combination of two old ways or an old way and a new way.
Right. Well, a couple things to look at. I have a tough time with Kurt Busch because he was born on Jeff Gordon's birthday. So if you guys can crack his code, he's a Hall of Famer.
He had a couple of races where he stood out as like, he had all the numbers and it's just he couldn't break through. I don't. It was Busch, and who else did we have? That was it Keselowski? Both of those drivers, we had incredible numbers some races and just were nowhere to be found. So it was just weird.
Right.
Yeah, and Kurt Busch won that championship in 2004, and he's really the only guy to really get any wins in that 97. Obviously, Chad Little drove that 97, but now Ginsburg in that 97. Yeah. That's something to watch out for, that 97. So might be seeing some Chad Little, Kurt Busch connections with that car, and you never know what you're going to see with all these things we've been finding, how things just keep coming full circle. It's going to be very interesting now with the way this is set up.
Yeah, it is. It is. So,
well, I got your documents backed up, brother.
Okay, beautiful. I'm going to take them off the mighty because nobody will understand them. That it's just a normal that wants to open and read it. They won't even know what I put there. So it'll only be somebody who's real nosy that wants to steal it.
I got it now.
Bally go backwards will come in there and rob the whole thing.
I haven't heard that.
The Karen.
Yeah, and go take credit for all of it.
Yeah, we were thinking about trolling Garen tonight and going to his page and saying, "Hey man, with all your posts, dude, you should check out Austin and Logan and join the podcast."
Right.
But anyway, it's been a blast, and
thank you guys.
Dude, great inaugural episode. So yeah, that was
absolutely.
A lot of fun.
That was great.
All right, get a hold of me. I'll get a hold of you when I got a bunch of crap to lay on you.
All right, we'll have correspondence, friend.
I'll be watching you guys in the future. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
All right, later.
Yep. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right. Well, that was a great episode. Hopefully you guys were able to stick through with us. I know it's, a lot of NASCAR, and that's going to maybe even like split the community a little bit on, retention, but we thank you guys for hanging in there. If you did, one thing you can take away from it, even if you're not a huge fan of the NASCAR stuff, is this is another member in the community that has now opened himself up to join the podcast. And what if we talked about being our main focus and main goal? It's not just the numbers and the exposés, if you will, but it is, reaching out and making something bigger than, what we have and seeing where we can take this, because, we would love to see this expand into something with a lot more reach. It's not for our selfish exposure that we're looking for. We're looking for the exposure of the work. In that way, we're looking for selfish exposure of this work to more people's eyes and ears. So, and even if it's not the gematria sense, it should all run back to the gematria. And if we can funnel, and anything that we find, any community that we build should always be funnel. I should really open up with this, but everybody needs to be a part of Gematria Effect News. Like, I don't care if you like the guy, don't like the guy. That matters not to me. You need to be on board with this information to be able to open yourself up to the next thing. Everybody has other facets that they can bring to the table, and that's excellent. That's really, really good. But you need to be on board with that. I think that's just a prerequisite personally. It's like if you're going to take a 102 course, then you got to know the 101, and that's the 101. So, but anyway, I'll let you close us out, Austin. That was a great episode, man. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a great episode. That was excellent that we were able to continue on with last week and build and put 2 weeks kind of together and sew up a lot of loose ends and, make full loops with things and find more information. And I mean, when you have, stuff that's just so undeniable, and like I said, there's even more stuff that, I can even talk about and find and go over, and there's just so much. I mean, it just never ends. There's so much information, and yeah, I mean, between last week and this week, a lot of great information, a lot of things corresponding, a lot of things just showing you how it's all linked up. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely, you don't need the gematria to see it, but when you do have the gematria and you see it and you apply it, it just shows you how undeniable it truly is and how it all truly comes together, and just how perfect it all is. Because that's really what you have to understand, is how perfect this all is, how just by design, just the numbers never lie. And yeah, I mean, hopefully tonight was, hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Hopefully, like I said, last year, 2025, we had no new guest the whole year. And we had, King Richard on our last episode of 2024, our second episode this year. We got, Illegal Smile on. So yeah, big shout out to him. That was a great episode. And yeah, I'll be on to 70 next week. Should be good. And hopefully, like I said, it's a sign of things to come and lures more people in and getting people involved, because that's really what we need right now. Just more participation and more nights like tonight.
Absolutely. And yeah, just really happy that went well, and was able to
That went great. Yeah.
because you really never know. But I think that this just further cements and drives home our point that you don't need to, you can't build rapport if you don't start somewhere. You got to start somewhere to build rapport. You can't just you can't but at the same time, it takes nothing. We're definitely able to mesh in certain ways, and I personally, I just think that that's our dichotomy. What makes us different is the same things that are very similar to the things that make us similar, and we can kind of harness those things to have great conversation with anybody about anything. And that was just further proof. Obviously, King Richard is the third side of that coin, and he's able to do that as well. And he's been what we call he's our honorary third host for sure. And look forward to having him join our show more in the new year, or at least the calendar new year. But yeah, consider this subtle foreshadowing, guys. I'm in the DeWalt shirt.
No.
Uh-oh. Anyway, you guys have a great week, and we will catch you next week. Later.
Peace.